Welcome to this English speaking masterclass. Today, you're going to practice speaking in English for 3 hours. This is an interactive class and you're going to practice speaking with me. I'm going to ask you questions and you're going to open your mouth and answer. And don't worry because I'm going to provide a lot of bonus grammar and vocabulary along the way. Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. First, in this masterclass, you're going to practice speaking on the topic of catching up with a friend.
This is when you learn what's new with someone since you last spoke. So let's say I'm catching up with my friend Paolo, and I haven't seen Paolo in 6 months. So when I catch up with Paolo, I'm going to learn everything that's new in Paolo's life since the last time we spoke, which was 6 months ago. So, of course, it's very important to use this when you're in social interactions. Oh, let's catch up. We need to catch up. Let's catch up soon. And that's exactly what we're doing in our English speaking practice class. You're catching up with a friend. And guess what? I'm your friend. I'm your friend that you're catching up with. When was the last time we saw each other? Well, maybe it was a week ago. Maybe it was 3 days ago. Maybe it was 6 months ago. So you can use this expression to catch up with a friend if you haven't seen each other for weeks, months, years. But you can also use this if you haven't seen someone even for days. So we're catching up. I'm your friend. You're my friend. So let's catch up. Let's imagine that we're having a tea or a coffee, water, orange juice, whatever your drink of choice is. This is tea for me. So we're having a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, and we're catching up. I'm going to ask you questions to learn what's new with you, what's new with your life, and I want you to speak out loud. I already see some amazing comments. Vladimir said, long time no see. Absolutely. This is a great expression. And actually, it's one that you're going to learn. So amazing job. And Vladimir also said, how have you been? Vladimir, you're doing an amazing job. So let's practice this more because you're already using some of my expressions. Okay, so we're catching up with a friend. We're friends. You know what this means to learn what's new with someone since you last spoke. So we're catching up with a friend, and here are your instructions. I'm going to ask you the questions at first, and I want you to answer my questions out loud. Now, this is very important because right now, let's say that Vladimir says, how have you been? And you just think the answer in your head. Are you practicing your speaking? What do you think? Yes or no? Right now. Am I practicing my speaking skills? No, because there are no words coming out of my mouth. So, right now, you might be in a public place. Even if you are, you can say it very quietly and still open your mouth and say the words. If you are in a very public place and you don't feel comfortable doing that, well, make sure you repeat this exercise when you are in a private place and you practice that, okay? But I really want you to open your mouth and say the answer out loud. And then, of course, you're going to learn a lot of expressions and great vocabulary along the way. So, are you ready for my first question to you? Let's see. What's my first question? Okay, so your name is James. So imagine your name is James, whatever your name is, and I say, hi, long time no see. That is exactly what Vladimir said. So this is the first thing I would say to a friend if I have not seen them for a long time. I would say, hi. Hi, Vladimir. Hi, Mozab. Hi, Yuzu. Hi, Iman. Hi, Annika. Hi, Habrira. And I would say, long time no see. So now I want you to open your mouth. Long time no see. What could you say back as a reply? Open your mouth and say the answer out loud. Long time no see. And what are you going to say? Well, don't worry because we're going to practice this together, okay? But first of all, here's what you could say. You could say, I know, I know. And notice how I'm putting some enthusiasm into that. I'm not saying, I know, I know, I know, with some enthusiasm. Everyone, repeat that out loud. Repeat after me. I know, with enthusiasm. I know, I know. Now you can add on and say, it's been too long. It's been too long. And notice you can emphasize that word too because this is an intensifier. So you can make the sound of this longer to intensify it. So repeat this. It's been too long. It's been too long. And did you get that contraction? What do we have here as this contraction? It apostrophe S? What is that? What is that as a contraction? Do you know what word that represents? It apostrophe S? Well, this is it has been. It has been too long because this is in what verb tense? The present perfect. It has been, notice that pronunciation, been. It's been, it has been, it's been. It's been too long. So let's try this all together. So I'm going to do my part, long time no see. And then I want you to repeat this out loud and remember to try to imitate my pronunciation as closely as possible. I'll say it one more time so you have it in your mind. I know, it's been too long. Here we go. Hi, long time no see. Did you open your mouth and say it out loud? Because remember, you need to practice your speaking. So opening your mouth, saying the words, hearing your voice, hearing yourself form that contraction, hearing yourself elongate those sounds, which is very common in English pronunciation. This is how you're going to feel confident, and this is also how you're going to improve your pronunciation. All right. So one question here, Yuzu asked, is it different? It has been too long and it has been a while. So excellent question. Remember in spoken English, to sound very advanced, to sound very natural, I recommend using that contraction. It's been a while. It's been too long. And I'm saying that because this is what I hear. This is what native speakers use. So if you want to sound more natural, sound more fluent, then use the language that we use. It's been too long. It's been a while. There's a very subtle difference between these two, Yuzu, but ultimately you can use one or the other and it doesn't matter. It's been a while means that it has been a period of time because a while is not specific. Now, the subtle difference with too long, if I say I have too much work, I'm saying the amount of work I have is more than I want or need. So if I say it's been too long, I'm really saying to you, I wish we had seen each other earlier. Whereas it's been a while, it's just a statement saying it's been a period of time. It's not necessarily saying, I wish we had seen each other sooner. But honestly, they're very similar in meaning. So that's the subtle difference. Great question. All right. And Mozab asked, it has been an ages. Does this make sense? Okay, so that's what you would say. Does this make sense? Not an ages. You would say it's been ages. It has been as a contraction. It's been, and then just the word ages. It's been ages. And in this case, ages means a period of time. So this is a substitute for it's been a while. It's been ages. And ages sounds like a long period of time. It's been ages since we last spoke, which sounds great, very natural. And remember to use that contraction, it's been.
Are you enjoying this lesson? If you are, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers from TV, the movies, YouTube, and the news so you can improve your listening skills of fast English, expand your vocabulary with natural expressions, and learn advanced grammar easily. Plus, you'll have me as your personal coach. You can look in the description for the link to learn more, or you can go to my website and click on Finally Fluent Academy. Now let's continue with our lesson.
Let's move on to our next question. Are you ready for the next question? Remember, catching up with a friend. What have you been up to? So this is the next thing. Very early on in my conversation, I would meet my friend. Hi, long time no see. What have you been up to? What have you been up to? Been up to. What have you been up to? Do you know how to answer this? Try right now, whatever comes to your mind. Don't worry if it's right or wrong. We're just practicing. So what is the first thing that you think of as an answer? What have you been up to? Say it out loud. What have you been up to? You must know how to answer this question because socially, this is one of the first questions native speakers ask each other. What have you been up to? So let's look at this a little closely. So what have you been up to? You can add on lately or recently because this is in the present perfect, but you don't have to. You can just use what have you been up to and end on to. But if you want, you can add on lately, recently. They're both keywords for the present perfect. Now, this is an action that started in the past and continues until now. Now, been up to, this is just a substitute for doing. So what have you been doing? So up to, you can replace that with the word doing. What have you been doing lately, recently? What have you been up to lately, recently? Because remember, we're catching up with a friend. I'm catching up with you. I haven't seen you in a week, a month, a year. So I want to know, what have you been doing? What have you been up to? Now, here's a hint for you to answer this, to make the answer more approachable, something you can accomplish easily. Just name one thing. Because if I haven't seen you for 1 year, you have been doing many, many things. Of course you have, but just name one, either the most recent or the most interesting. That's the best way to answer this. So maybe you could say, I started a new job. What have you been up to lately? Well, I started a new job. Notice it's in the past simple because the action started in the past. It's a completed past action. I started a new job. We're remodeling our kitchen. So notice this is in what verb tense? We're remodeling our kitchen. What verb tense is this? The present continuous, because the action is taking place now. This is in progress. If I go to my kitchen right now, it's a disaster. We're remodeling our kitchen. To remodel means that you're changing the look of it, you're making it more modern, you're painting it, you're changing the colors, you're getting new cupboards, new appliances, things like that. We're remodeling our kitchen. I'm learning how to play guitar. Again, what verb tense is this? The present continuous, because you're doing it right now. I'm learning how to play guitar. Or, of course, you might say, I've been focused on improving my speaking skills. So this is in the present perfect because it's an action that started in the past and continues until now. So this is what I suggest for the question, what have you been up to? So I want you to just name one thing. And remember, you can have different verb tenses because it could be a past action, it could be in progress, or it could be an action that started in the past or continues until now. So think of one thing. I'll give you a second and let's practice speaking. Remember, I want you to open your mouth and say the answer out loud. One thing. Okay? I'll ask you again. Hi, long time no see. So, what have you been up to? Did you state that one thing? What have you been up to? Well, Math Physics said, I have been working on a new project. Excellent. And what verb conjugation is this? Who knows? This is the present perfect continuous because it started in the past and Math Physics is still working on this project now. And Iman said, just working and focusing on my relationship with my family. Yeah, absolutely. So Iman provided 2 points, but still, that's great because it's short, it's concise. Just working, focusing on my relationship with my family. That's wonderful. All right. And Pearl said, I have been preparing my IELTS. Excellent, Pearl. That is a wonderful thing to be focusing on. Now, just one thing. Does anyone know? There's a little mistake in this, Pearl. I just want to correct it because if you are preparing your IELTS, it's really important that you fix this one mistake. What's the one mistake here? Does anyone know? Pearl, you need to have the preposition for. You don't prepare something, you prepare for something. I've been, because it started in the past and continues until now, I've been preparing for my IELTS. So I just wanted to share that with you, Pearl, because it is extremely important that you get prepositions for your IELTS. But great job, Pearl. I wish you the best of luck. I'm sure you're going to do awesome. So everyone put go Pearl go Pearl go in the comments. All right. And Annika and Ansia says, I've been improving my English speaking. Wonderful. And great job getting that contraction. I've been improving. This is a great way to instantly sound more advanced, sound more like a native speaker is to use that contraction. I've been improving my English speaking. Great initiative. Okay. Amazing. So we know, what have you been up to? This is absolutely a must know in any social conversation. You can ask your colleagues this as well. Oh, so what have you been up to? And it could be in a work context. Oh, I've been working on the Jones report. I've been reorganizing our filing system. So you can use this in a work context as well. All right. So we talked about just naming one thing to keep it simple and approachable. You can use different verb tenses. So my next question. Now in North America, we're in summer. Technically, we're still in spring. We're going into summer. But I understand the country you're in, you might not have our 4 seasons. Maybe you're going into the rainy season, or you're going into winter, or you're going into the dry season. So whatever season you're approaching, just think of that season, okay? So you can replace summer with whatever season you're going in. And let me know in the comments. I always find it so interesting, the different seasons around the world. So let me know, what season are you going into? In North America, right now we're in spring and we're approaching summer. So if I'm catching up with a friend, of course I want to know, any big plans this summer? Any big plans this winter, rainy season, dry season, whatever it might be? Any big plans this summer? So again, I want you to answer this out loud. Don't worry about getting the right answer. Just say the first thing that comes to your mind, and I want you to open your mouth and say the answer. So I'll ask you again. Any big plans this summer? Any big plans this summer? All right, well, let's see. Now, notice for the question, I just said any big plans. This is how we speak in spoken English. We often drop auxiliary verbs or subjects if they're not necessary to understand the meaning. We also do this in informal written English. So if I'm sending a quick text message to a friend, even a colleague, even my boss, but my boss and I have a close relationship. So I communicate with my boss in a more informal way. I would absolutely use this in informal writing as well. However, if you are writing anything formal, academic, or for IELTS purposes, you need to use the full sentence structure. But let's just practice this. Any big plans this summer? I want you to repeat that out loud. Any big plans this summer? Awesome. Now for your answer. Now, again, you can just state one thing to make this easy for you to answer because you might have 20 plans, 3 plans. You might have more than one. You might have a lot, but you can just answer one. Now, notice how I said yes. Why did I say yes here? Yes. Because technically, this is a yes or no question. Do you have any big plans this summer? Yes, I do. No, I don't. So to start my answer, I'll say yes. We're going on a family vacation to Disney World. So again, you can just choose one thing. Now, most likely that one thing is going to be in the future. It's possible that it could be in the present perfect because it started in the past and continues until now, but most likely it's going to be in the future. So let's practice this. I'm going to ask you again, and I want you to answer out loud. Any big plans this summer? Let's see what people said. Forever said, hiking with my friends on Sundays. Yeah, exactly. Great job, Forever. And if you want, it's not a requirement, but if you want, you can start with yes, because it's a yes, no question. But again, it's not a requirement, just an option. Yes, hiking with my friends on Sundays. Okay. And Harpriya, very nice name, Harpriya. I will go to Scotland on holidays with my family. Okay, very nice, very nice. This is a great answer. I haven't decided yet. And great verb conjugation as well. I haven't decided yet. Yet is a key word for the present perfect. Excellent. Goitom said, I'm going to visit my family. Very nice. Excellent. Now let's see. We have a no answer, which is absolutely acceptable. No, I have no plans for the summer, but I hope I could have planned a short trip. Exactly. You can absolutely say no. I have no plans for the summer, but I hope I can plan a short trip, but I hope I can plan a short trip. Okay. And Soha said, I'm going to swimming class this summer. Exactly. That sounds fun. So you can start with yes. You don't have to, but yes, I'm going to swimming class this summer. Very nice. Pearl, yes, I do. Exactly. Do you have? So notice Pearl answered, yes, I do. Because I do have big plans. Yes, I do. I'm going to New Zealand. That is wonderful, Pearl. I have never been to New Zealand and I would love to go. So enjoy your time. All right. Mozab said, I'm going to study English with Jennifer. Well, thank you, Mozab. I appreciate that. Okay, our next question. Everyone, you are doing so great. So we're catching up. Hi, long time no see. How have you been? What have you been up to? Any big plans this summer? Now, when you're having a conversation with someone, of course, you're going to ask them about future activities. What are you doing this summer? But you can, of course, ask them about the past. So remember, I said right now in North America, we're in spring. We just finished winter and we're going into summer. So it's very common that I could ask my friend, you, about the last season, the season we just finished. So again, for you, maybe it's not winter, maybe it's summer, maybe it's the rainy season, the dry season, whatever it is for you. So I can ask you, did you travel anywhere this winter? Remember, I want you to open your mouth and say the answer. Did you travel anywhere this winter? So, did you? Did you, Pearl? Did you, Anas? Did you, Stella? Did you, Najib? Boris? Nazir? Did you travel anywhere this winter? Tomas? Did you travel anywhere this winter? Remember, open your mouth and say the answer out loud because I want you to practice your speaking. Of course, you can write the answer in the comments. Writing it is absolutely a wonderful way to practice, but make sure in addition to writing, you also open your mouth and say the answer. Did you travel anywhere this winter? So let's say you didn't, because in the last one, we answered yes. We answered positively. So let's practice answering negatively. So you could say no. Now you could provide the reason why. And then to expand on this, to make it more conversational, you could provide one interesting thing you did. So, no, you didn't travel, but you did something, right? You still did activities, whatever those activities are. So, choose the one that first comes to your mind, the most interesting one, and then answer that instead. But remember, no, the reason why, and then one interesting thing you did. So let's see a potential answer, and then you can practice this yourself. So, no, we didn't. Notice that contraction didn't, didn't. You can push out that T if it's at the end of a sentence because you're taking a pause anyway. No, we didn't. Practice that. No, we didn't. Didn't. Practice that out loud and imitate my pronunciation. Shadow my pronunciation. No, we didn't. Now, we, because it represents you and your family, but you could, of course, say, no, I didn't as well. No, we didn't. Now, the reason why winter is very busy for me at work. That's a potential reason why, whatever your reason is. And then one interesting thing, or the first thing you think of, but because but is it's a connection word, it's a transition word. It helps you go from a negative, no, I didn't travel, to a positive, I did something interesting. But I remodeled our kitchen over winter. Now, notice remodeled is in the ED because it's a completed past action. So, right now, my kitchen is fully complete. Everything is done. It's painted, new cupboards, new appliances. It's fully done. Okay, so now your turn to practice. So, no, we didn't. No, I didn't. The reason and one thing you did instead. Okay, we'll practice this as spoken practice. Did you travel anywhere this winter? Did you travel anywhere this winter? All right, let's see. What do we have here? Oh, here's one. HM said, no, I didn't. I was busy with my occupation and my own chores. Your occupation, you mean your work? I would just say I was busy with work. I was busy with work and my own chores. You can add that as well. Now, HM, not a requirement, but you can expand on and say one interesting thing you did or the first thing that comes to your mind, just to expand on this. Because a lot of students say, Jennifer, I I open my mouth, but just one word answers, very short answers come out. I want to expand on my ideas. Well, this is a great way for you to expand on your ideas. Know the reason and one interesting thing you did. Okay. Sita said, no, because I am occupied with my job, but I learned cooking from my mother. Excellent job, Sita. Very nicely done. No, I'm. Now just remember the contraction is I apostrophe am. I'm. I'm. No, because I'm occupied with my job. I would say busy because I'm busy with my work. I could say job too, but I'd probably more likely just say work. No, I'm busy with work, but I learned how to cook from my mother. Or, but my mother taught me how to cook. Either sentence structure is correct, but very nicely done. I love that. Okay. Ismail said, no, I didn't. Exactly, didn't. Get that contraction. I'm very happy to see those contractions. I was studying the whole winter. Exactly, exactly. I was studying the whole winter. Now, for you, for the one interesting thing, maybe Ismail, you could include one interesting thing that you learned. No, I didn't. I was studying the whole winter, but I learned how to use 20 new phrasal verbs. So that could be the interesting thing you did because it relates to the reason why you didn't travel. So that could be a great strategy. Okay. Alexander, of course, I have to choose the Canadian flag. No, I didn't. So just remember, not, you want just no. Yes, no. No, I didn't. Traveling in winter for me is difficult because of the house's chores. I didn't want to come back with a snow mountain in my door. Exactly. Very nicely said. Okay. And Jamie said, unfortunately, no. That's a great one as well, Jamie. Great job saying that because you can say, oh, unfortunately, no. Unfortunately suggests that I wish I had. Unfortunately, no. I looked forward to swim in the river, but it'll be freezing. I looked forward to, what does Jamie need to do here? I looked forward to swimming. To look forward to, this is a gerund expression. You look forward to doing something. I looked forward to swimming in the river, but it'll be freezing. All right. Awesome job. Okay. Our next question. Well, when you're talking with friends, of course, you want to know about their life, what they're doing. But of course, everybody always talks about the weather. So let's say, I'm catching up with my friend, but of course, we don't live in the same city. So maybe we're catching up virtually, which is very commonly done. So we're having a virtual catch up. So I could ask you, how's the weather been lately? How's the weather been lately? I want you to repeat this out loud because it's such an important common question. You use this all the time in social situations, work situations, small talk. So notice that contraction, how's. Repeat that, how's. How's. How's the weather? How's the weather? How's the weather been? Been. How's the weather been lately? Okay, excellent. So now you know the question, you know how to pronounce it. So now I want you to answer this out loud. We don't live in the same city. I'm sure our answers are very, very different. So I want you to answer this out loud. I'll ask it again. How's the weather been lately? Open your mouth, say the words, practice your speaking. How's the weather been lately? Okay. So notice here, hows with apostrophe s. This could represent how is, but this is in the present perfect. So we know it's how has, but the pronunciation is exactly the same. And again, it's the present perfect because I'm asking about the weather in the past, maybe the last few days, the last week, until now. How's the weather been lately, recently? You can use either one, or you can use neither. You can just say, how's the weather been? How's the weather been? So that is how to ask the question. Now, here's a potential answer. And this is quite true for me, especially it would describe right now what's going on outside. It's been, it has been. So just repeat that. It's been, it's been, it's been, it's been, it's been unseasonably cool and rainy. Cool and rainy. Now, unseasonably, unseasonably. Does anyone know what this means? Unseasonably cool and rainy. Who knows? Who knows? Let me know in the comments. It's been unseasonably cool and rainy. Unseasonably and then an adjective. This means more of the adjective than normal based on the normal weather, based on the climate. So in the beginning of June, in my city is usually sunny and hot. That is what it usually is, what it normally is. So if I say unseasonably cool and rainy, it means it's not normally like this at this time of year. But you don't have to use that. Or you could use an adjective that is the opposite. You could say it's been unseasonably hot, which means hotter than normal. It's been unseasonably rainy, unseasonably dry. If it's unseasonably dry, it means it should be raining, but it's not raining. Or maybe you wouldn't use unseasonably at all because right now the weather is exactly what you expect the weather to be in your city. So let's practice. That's just to give you an example to help you expand your vocabulary with some useful weather vocabulary. But now I'll ask you again, and I want you to open your mouth and say it out loud. How's the weather been lately? It's been. It's been. Okay, so let's see some answers. Angel said, it's been horrible lately, to be honest. Yeah, exactly. You could use that as an adjective, horrible. It's been horrible. It's been terrible. And then maybe you can state why, and you can use the unseasonably. It's been unseasonably cold or maybe hot, and that's why it's horrible. Very good. Yuzu said, it's been cloudy and rainy as usual. Exactly, as usual. So this isn't unseasonable. This is as usual. It's been cloudy and rainy. Very good. As usual in June. You need the preposition in June in Japan. Very nice. Alexander asked, could I say barely warm? It's been barely warm. I mean, you could. Technically, that's grammatically correct, but I don't think I would personally say it. And I don't think I would hear a lot of native speakers use it. So it hasn't been very warm, Or just it's been cool. Instead of saying barely warm, I would probably just use the opposite, which is cool. Oh, it's been really cool. It's been unseasonably cool. It hasn't been very warm. So that's what I would say. It hasn't been very warm. All right. Harpriya said it's been cloudy. Exactly. Very good. And make sure you practice that out loud. It's been cloudy. Oudy. Make sure you get that vowel. Cloudy. It's been cloudy. Very good. Yuri said it's been cold. Yeah, it has been. In spoken English, make sure you use that contraction. It's been. It's been. It's been cold in Lima, Peru. Very nice. Okay. And Vladimir said it's been scorching recently. Excellent. Scorching means extremely hot. So unseasonably hot, hotter than, well, perhaps no, because maybe it is always scorching in June where you live, Vladimir. So not necessarily unseasonably, but scorching means very, very hot. And if you add unseasonably, it means it's unusual for this time of year. Okay, awesome job, everyone. Great job practicing, and make sure you're speaking out loud as well, imitating my pronunciation. Now, how about this question? This is an easy one. What were you up to earlier today? Now, we already talked about up to. We saw this in another question. Native speakers use this all the time, up to. What were you up to earlier today? So first, I want you to practice and repeat after me because you can use this as a question. What were you up to earlier today? What were you up to earlier today? All right. So now remember that up to means doing. What were you doing? Now, just know that up to is used in question form and it's also used in negative form, but not positive form. So often when I ask students this, oh, what were you up to? They'll say, oh, I was up to learning English. But that's not correct because we don't use this in the positive form. So in the negative form, you would say, I wasn't up to much. Because you can use it in the negative form. I wasn't doing much. So repeat after me. I wasn't up to much. And notice up to, you can say that to as a more unstressed to. I wasn't up to. I wasn't up to much. Repeat after me. I wasn't up to much. Excellent. I just ran a few errands. Who knows what this means? I've already heard some people talk about chores, household chores, chores around the house. What about errands? And notice my pronunciation. Errands. Errands. Very different from the spelling. Errands. Errands. Repeat after me. Errands. To run errands, notice that verb. It's run. You run errands. You don't do errands, you run errands. To run errands, this is when you do quick tasks outside of the house. So who can name an example of an errand? Oh, I ran an errand today. What did you do? Who can name an example of an errand? Put that in the comments. An example of an errand, let me know. So maybe you could pick up your dry cleaning, pick up your laundry, get groceries, get gas, which means to fill up your car with gas. We just say get gas. Maybe you had to drop off a package at the post office. Maybe you had to pick up some lipstick for your next YouTube video. These are all examples of errands. Okay. So now you know what the question means. Let's practice this again. I'm going to ask you and I want you to say it out loud. What were you up to earlier today? What were you up to earlier today? Now to answer, you can just state what you did. Now, because it's earlier today and you're no longer doing the action because we're talking, we're catching up, you can put it in the past simple. I went for a bike ride with my family. So just name one thing. Always keep it simple. Name one thing. So, what were you up to earlier today? You could add on earlier today, I went for a bike ride, or you could do the time reference this morning, this afternoon, at 10 a.m., at 3 p.m., after lunch, before lunch. So you can absolutely add on a time reference if you like. Okay, and I went for a walk. Exactly. An awesome job getting for a walk. A walk. This is the noun form. And this is how native speakers would say when you're just going for a leisurely purpose. And the past simple of the verb go is, of course, went. I went for a walk. Excellent job, Soha. And sorry, I can't read your name. I was preparing for the coming jobs, although it's a holiday today in my country. Oh, it's a holiday. That's wonderful. But I was preparing for the coming jobs. Okay, I'm not sure what the coming jobs means. Maybe it's I was preparing for my work, my upcoming work. That could be what you mean. I went for a stroll earlier today. Nice job adding earlier today, Thomas, at the end. I went for a stroll, a leisurely walk without a specific destination. I've been studying since morning. Yeah, Najib, you can absolutely say that. Oh, I've been studying. And that implies that you're still studying now. I went to my Pilates class this morning. Yeah, wake up and do Pilates. Excellent name. Very nice. Okay, and Math Physics says, I went to visit my parents. Exactly. Excellent job, everyone. Great job practicing. Okay, and this is our last question, and I saved a fun one for last because hypotheticals. Hypotheticals are always fun to practice. So, if you had the time to take up a hobby, which one would you choose? So, remember, this is hypothetical. So it doesn't matter if you don't have the time now. You're imagining you have the time. It's hypothetical. So it doesn't matter what your current work situation is, your current study schedule is, your current financial situation. None of that matters. In this hypothetical situation, you have the time to take up a hobby. So which one, again, it's always easier to just say one thing when you answer a question. And then you can give more information about that one thing. If you had the time, if you had are conditional, if you had the time to take up a hobby, which one would you choose? Oh, get that hobby in your mind. So to take up a hobby, this means to begin a new hobby. So to start, to begin a new hobby. So practice this. Take up, cup. Notice how those sounds link together. Take up. Repeat. Take up. Take up. Take up a hobby. Take up a hobby. And again, begin a new hobby. So here's a model that you can use. If I had the time, so you're using the conditional in your answer. If I had the time, I'd take up yoga. I would take up I apostrophe D, I'd take up. I'd take up. So notice that D is almost not pronounced when you say it in spoken English. So repeat after this. I'd take up. I'd take up. I'd take up yoga. And then you can state the reason or the fact. So a fact, what do I mean? Well, maybe an interesting fact about yoga. I take up yoga because I know it's good for my health. So maybe that's the reason why, but maybe it's just a fact about yoga as well. I'd learn how to. I'd learn how to. So you need your infinitive. I'd learn how to draw because it's very relaxing. I'd start. What would you start? I'd start taking photos. I'd start. What would you start? I'd start building websites. I'd start speaking in English because I need to pass my IELTS or whatever the reason why. So you don't have to use all three, just pick one. I'd take up, I'd learn how to, I'd start. So let's practice this again. If I had the time, repeat that. If I had the time, I'd take up because, and then you can provide your reason or perhaps a fact. So let's try this again as let me show you a potential answer. If I had the time, I'd learn how to draw. This is true. I've always wanted to learn how to draw. If I had the time, I'd learn how to draw. I love the idea of sitting in nature and drawing the beauty in front of me. And this is very true. This is exactly how I would answer this. I'd learn how to draw. So I'll leave this up for you. If I had the time, I'd take up because. So I'm going to ask you again. If you had the time, what hobby would you take up? All right, make sure you answer. And remember, we're practicing your speaking skills. Open your mouth and say the answer out loud. Okay. Hastiar said, if I had the time, I would play, exactly as a contraction, I'd play video games. Games with an S. I'd play video games. Now, maybe you can provide a fact about video games, or you can provide a fact, could be your favorite video game, or you could provide the reason why. Okay, Jonathan said, if I had the time, perfect, I'd take up how to shoot a ball. Ah, very nice. I'm glad you said this, Jonathan, because the reason I provided the 3 different examples is because the choice really depends on what you say. Now, if you say a hobby or an activity like basketball, then you can use take up because you take up a hobby. But in your case, you're talking about learning. So you would say, I'd learn how. I'd learn how to shoot a ball. I'd take up basketball. I'd start playing basketball if you wanted to use start. Okay, awesome, Jonathan. I hope you get to do that. Manuel said, where I have enough time, when I have enough time, I would become a farmer. So farmer is an occupation, it's a profession. So you would say, I would become a farmer. You could also say, I'd learn how to farm. I'd learn how to farm. I'd start growing vegetables. I'd start growing flowers, whatever you want to farm. Okay. And Sue Young said, if I had the time, I'd learn how to swim. So you want the infinitive. I'd learn how to swim because I want to be good at swimming. How to swim? I want to be good at swimming. Very good. Ismail said, I take up traveling around the world because I love exploring new cultures. If you use do, you have to use due to, but you have to use a noun. Due to my love of travel. But if you use a verb, you have to use because I love exploring new cultures. Okay, let's do one more. Boris, if I had time, you can use that. You don't have to say the time. If I had time, I'd learn to play guitar. So not a guitar, it's just guitar in general. I learned to play guitar. I learned to play guitar. All right, we'll do a couple more. If I had the time, I'd find some more opportunities to improve English listening skills. Exactly. That's wonderful. Now, I have to let you know that I have a whole playlist for English listening skills on my YouTube channel. So if you just go into the playlist section, you'll see a playlist for listening exercises. So if you have the time, when you have the time, you can use that playlist. Okay, let's do one more. Education says, if I had the time, I would take up playing badminton. So you can, for take up is just the hobby. So the hobby is, think of it as the name of the sport, the name of the activity. I take up badminton. Otherwise, it's I'd learn how to play badminton. I'd start playing badminton. If I had the time, I'd take up badminton because it's my favorite indoor game. Exactly. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. Asham said, I'd take up watching my amazing teacher's whole videos. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And that is, oh, we have one more question. Okay, we'll do one more question. What's been the highlight of this month so far? What's been the highlight of this month so far? Oh, this is a good question. It's June. So, what's been the highlight of this month so far? So, the highlight of something is the most memorable part. So, think what your favorite thing, your favorite thing you did, you saw, you experienced in June. All right. So, to answer, you can say the highlight of my month has been, and then you can use a gerund verb. Maybe it's running a marathon, has been running a marathon. Or you can use a noun, the marathon. The highlight of my month has been, so a nice positive way to end our class. The highlight of my month has been. Okay. So maybe you could say the highlight of my month has been creating so many amazing lessons for my wonderful students, which is so true. This has definitely been the highlight of my month, has been creating so many amazing lessons for my wonderful students. So that's mine. Now, what about yours? The highlight of my month has been, we'll end on a positive note. So put that in the chat and I'll ask the question again. What's been the highlight of this month so far? Remember, open your mouth and answer out loud. What's been the highlight of this month so far? A great question. And remember your answer. The highlight of my month has been, and then a gerund or a noun. Okay, we have Yuzu. The highlight of my month has been getting new plan for cooking. Very nice. Has been getting a new plan for cooking. A new plan for cooking. Excellent. Wake up said, the highlight of my month has been trying to talk with people in English. Very nice. Has been trying. After the verb try, you just need the infinitive. I've been trying to improve, to learn, to do. I've been trying to talk with people in English. Excellent activity, wake up. Tomaz says, the highlight of my month has been quitting drinking. Congratulations, Tomaz. It's always difficult when we want to make change in our life. And just the fact that you tried and you did it. That is something to be congratulated. Amazing job. Alexander said, the highlight of this month has been watching my favorite soccer team qualifying for the finals. Absolutely. What a wonderful highlight. Very nice. My favorite soccer team. There's no need for the possessive there. My favorite soccer team. Gore says, the highlight of my month has been practicing meditation. Exactly. Very good. Practicing and then something, a noun, meditation. Excellent. The highlight of my month has been having done a lot of chores at my old house in my hometown. Very nice highlight. Instead of having done, you can just say has been doing. So you just want your gerund verb, which is the verb do. So you can just say the highlight of my month has been doing a lot of chores. Very nice. Najib said the highlight of this month has been meeting one of my soulmates. If you use one of, your noun needs to be plural. One of my soulmates with an S. But if you want to sound a little more romantic, get rid of the one of and say has been meeting my soulmate, because it sounds like there's only one soulmate for you and you just found that person. Oh, amazing. That's so cute. Mohammed said the highlight of this month has been trying to pick my father to India for health issues, has been trying to pick up my father from India, or maybe take my father to India, whatever, maybe pick up my father, but then it's from India. Okay, well, I wish your father and you all the best. All right, Maya, the highlight of this month has been hiking some mountains. Excellent. Very nice highlight. Hastar said, the highlight of my month has been watching all your videos. That is so sweet. Thank you so much. All right, Tiffany. The highlight of my month has been starting to play Minecraft with my boyfriend. Wonderful. I love it. I hope you have fun. Okay, last one from Boris. The highlight of my month has been reading a book. Exactly. Now, of course, everyone who answered, you provided amazing highlights. So you can just add on more information. You could provide the reason why, an interesting fact. For the last one for Boris, what book was this? So you can always add on.
Now let's expand your vocabulary, because of course you need words, a wide range of vocabulary to speak more confidently. So now you're going to learn 24 colloquial words in English. Now these are friendly and casual words that will help you sound like a native speaker. Let's hit the books. Do you know this one? You should, because to hit the books means to begin studying. You could say, I have a big test tomorrow, so I need to hit the books. And hopefully you're going to hit the books by watching more of my videos to help you improve your English. If you agree, put let's do it, let's do it, let's do it in the comments below.
Hit the books!
Well, time to hit the books.
And number 2 is let's do it. To do something, this is a casual, friendly way of saying to complete something. But native speakers use this in many different situations. I could ask you, are you ready to leave? And then you say, yes, I'm ready. So I say, let's do it, which means let's leave. Let's complete that action. Let's do it. So let's practice this. Do you want me to teach you the next expression? If you do, again, put let's do it, let's do it, put let's do it in the comments.
Let's do it! Let's do it!
Let's do it.
Let's do it! Let's do it!
Number 3, yup or yuppers. Have you ever heard yuppers? Oh, this is a great one. Again, I can ask you, are you ready to leave? And you can say, yes, I'm ready to leave. Or instead of yes, to sound more casual, you can say yup or yuppers. You can put it in a full sentence, yep, I'm ready, yeppers, I'm ready, or you can just use that one word, yep, yeppers. And notice that S, yeppers, with an S. So again, question for you. Do you want me to keep teaching you natural expressions? Put yeppers with that S, put yeppers in the comments if you do.
Yeppers.
Yeppers.
Yep.
Number 4, I'll see you at 8-ish. What time is 8-ish? Do you know? Adding ish to the time means around 8. So this could be 7:45 or 8:15. To sound more professional, you can say, I'll see you at approximately 8. That's the more formal way to say around, and the casual way is to add ish. Native speakers use this a lot. We'll be there soon. Well, soonish. This means in the near future, but not immediately. It's a little longer than soon. Just know that ish is not actually a word, but all native speakers understand it.
Shall we say, 8-ish?
Number 5, my bad. You know this one, right? This is used when you take responsibility or accept fault. Maybe you're in a meeting and your colleague says, the chart on page 5 is from 2023. Shouldn't it be from 2024? My bad, I'll change that ASAP. No worries.
My bad, Missy, my bad.
My bad.
I'm bad.
Our next one is, of course, no worries. You probably know this one. This means it's okay or don't worry about it. Native speakers often use this instead of you're welcome. Jennifer, thanks so much for the new lesson. You might say that. And I can reply to you and say, no worries, no worries. But we also use this to apologize. Maybe you're shopping and you accidentally hit someone with your shopping cart, and you can say, oh, I'm so sorry. And the person replies back and says, no worries.
No worries. No worries.
No worries. No worries.
Everything's all no worries, no worries.
Number 7, no big deal or no biggie. This also means it's okay, don't worry about it, no worries, or it's not significant, it's not important. So again, if you're shopping and you accidentally hit someone with your shopping cart and you say, oh, I'm so sorry, the person can reply back and say, no big deal. This is often used after an expression of gratitude to say it wasn't significant, it wasn't important. Maybe you say, wow, Jennifer, it's so nice of you to provide a free lesson PDF. Remember, you can download it in the description. And I can reply back and say, no big deal, no biggie. I'm letting you know that this wasn't a significant task for me to do, so I'm happy to do it.
No biggie.
No big deal.
Number 8, 100%. This one is very trendy right now. She doesn't do her fair share of the work. 100%. This means I completely agree with you. I 100% agree with you. For pronunciation, native speakers often say 100%, 100%. You can also say 100%.
Yeah, agreed. 100%.
Absolutely agree. 100%.
Number 9, I'm really into yoga. What about you? What are you into? To be into something, this is when you enjoy doing something. You have a strong interest in something. This question is commonly used when you're getting to know someone. So if you're on a first date, you can ask the person, so what are you into? And he replies back and says, I love rebuilding cars. It's my passion. Just notice a verb of preference, love, is commonly used to reply to this question. So what about you? What are you into? You could say, I'm really into learning English with JForrest English. Aw, thanks so much. Notice that structure. Verb to be, I am, into, and then you have your verb with ing, learning English. If that describes you, again, put let's do it, let's keep learning, let's do it, put let's do it in the comments.
Right now, I'm into yoga.
I'm really into fashion.
Number 10, let's Uber it. What does this mean? This means let's take an Uber. Native speakers frequently turn nouns, Uber, into a verb. A native speaker would commonly say, I'll email you, I'll WhatsApp you, I'll Zoom you, using them as verbs. Remember, you have to conjugate the verb with the subject and time reference. Last night, we Ubered to the conference. Last night, we took an Uber to the conference.
I Ubered. What'd you Uber?
I'll email you the address.
Number 11, that's wild. This is used to show surprise, amazement, or astonishment. A lot of Ubers won't accept my ride because I live outside of the city. This is true. You can reply back and say, that's wild, which means I'm surprised.
That's wild.
That's wild.
Number 12, really? With a question, really? This is also used to show surprise, amazement, or astonishment. I don't get Uber Eats. It won't come to my area. Also true. You can reply and say, really? And you can even add, that's wild. Put them both together.
Really? Really, really.
Number 13, shoot. This means ask your question. Jennifer, I have a question about number 11. Shoot. Ask me your question. Jennifer, can I ask you a question about number 5? Shoot. Yes, you can ask me your question. Number 14, give me a shout. First, notice in the last one, shoot, pronunciation, oot. This one, out, shout. Shoot, shout. This means call me or contact me. Give me a shout when you land. Give me a shout at 8-ish.
Give him a shout.
Give us a shout.
If he pops out, give me a shout.
Number 15, can you flip me the invite? To flip means to send electronically. You flip someone something, just like you send someone something. Can you flip the team, someone, the invite, something? You can also flip something to someone. Same with send something to someone. Can you flip the invite, something, to the team, someone? Number 16, now let's look at the invite. Can you flip me the invite? Invite is a shortened form of invitation. To invite is a verb. She invited the team to the party. An invitation is a noun. Have you sent out the invitations for the party? An invite is a noun. Have you sent out the invites for the party? Notice, because it's a noun, it has a singular or plural form.
I have to send you an invite.
I can send you an invite if you want.
Number 17, I'll flip it to you in a sec. In a sec means in a second, which is a short period of time, soon. You can say, I'll be there in a sec. You can also get someone's attention by saying, do you have a sec? Do you have a small amount of time? Maybe a few minutes in this case. And I can reply back and say, yep, yepers.
There in a sec.
Wait you in a sec.
Oh, wait a sec.
Number 18, she's a newbie. A newbie is a new member of a team or a group. You might say, can you show Sarah how to file the reports? She's a newbie. Or your boss might say, keep an eye on the newbies while I'm gone. What about you? Are you a new member of this community? Have you recently subscribed or started watching my videos? If you have, then put I'm a newbie, put I'm a newbie in the comments. I love newbies. I'm happy to have you.
She's a total newbie.
I'm a newbie.
Sure, newbie.
Number 19, my study routine is dialed in. To be dialed in means to be fully optimized or perfected. And here, dialed in functions as an adjective. So is your study routine fully optimized, perfected? If it is, you can say, it's my study routine. It's dialed in. If not, you can say, I need to dial it in. In this case, it's the verb. I need to dial it in. I need to perfect it, optimize it.
How dialed in were you?
Number 20, I'm crushing it. To crush something means to do a great job. So if you're enjoying this video, you can say, Jennifer, you're crushing it. You're doing a great job. Do you agree? If you do, put crushing it, crushing it, crushing it in the comments. This is a verb. So in the past simple, you would say, I crushed the job interview. I did a great job.
I'm crushing it.
Yeah, I'm really crushing it.
Exactly. See? I'm crushing it.
Number 21, I'm loving it. You probably recognize this because of McDonald's. McDonald's slogan is I'm loving it. And notice lovin' in loving it. Now, this technically breaks an English grammar rule because love is a stative verb. So you would say, I love this song, even if the action takes place right now. But McDonald's popularized this, so now it's very friendly, casual, and acceptable to say, I'm loving this song. And by putting it in the present continuous, it emphasizes that the action is taking place now.
I love it. I'm loving it.
I'm loving it.
I'm loving it.
Number 22, learning English is a piece of cake. You know this one, right? To be a piece of cake means to be very easy. Maybe learning English is a piece of cake when you have a great teacher. If you agree, you can say 100%. So put that in the comments.
It's a piece of cake. Piece of cake.
It's a piece of cake.
It's a piece of cake.
Number 23, we shot the breeze in the elevator. To shoot the breeze, this is to make small talk, so to have casual, lighthearted conversation. Notice those conjugations, shoot, but in the past, shot, and the past participle, shot. You might say, my neighbor and I always shoot the breeze when we take out the garbage. We see each other and we have a lighthearted conversation. We shoot the breeze. And finally, number 24, you're on fire. To be on fire, this means to perform well, to do a great job. I could say, you just added 24 common and natural expressions to your speech. You're on fire. So let's celebrate this. Put I'm on fire, I'm on fire. You just did an amazing job. Put I'm on fire in the comments. Now let's get back to practicing speaking. And you're going to practice providing advice to a friend.
So what kind of grammar would you use to provide advice to a friend? Do you know? If you know, put it in the comments. What kind of grammar would you use? Provide advice to a friend. Well, first of all, I want to remind you that this is a speaking class. I want you to practice your speaking. So how are you going to practice your speaking if, of course, you're watching this on your device? We're not in a classroom together, a live classroom. So how can you practice your speaking? Well, I want you to answer out loud. So I want you to open your mouth and say the answer out loud. I want you to hear the sound of your voice. Now, of course, you can put it in the comments too, because you can practice your sentence structure and take some time to really form those sentences. But I want you to answer out loud to practice speaking. Do we have a deal? Okay, great. Now, getting back to the grammar. If you're providing advice to a friend, you're going to use your modal verbs. Here are some modal verbs that we're going to practice in this class and you're going to get very comfortable with. The first one, must. Now remember, with modal verbs, you use the modal and the base verb. Must plus base verb. So this is used for a strong obligation. It sounds like something an authority figure would say to you. An authority figure could be your boss, your parents, your significant other. A friend might talk to you from a position of authority as well. Or, of course, police, government, a position of authority. Now, if you want to sound less strong, but still make an obligation, you can use have to. Notice that preposition to. You have to plus base verb. Also, you should and then base verb. This is for a recommendation or suggestion. You could plus base verb. This is for the possibility. The possibility exists. Now, how about this one? If I were you, I would plus base verb. This is for a hypothetical situation. And notice, I were, because in this hypothetical situation, we use were for all subjects. It doesn't change. If I were you, if she were you, if we were you use were in all situations. So how about we practice and we'll go through each one first and you'll have lots of chance to practice. This one. Okay. Now you're going to provide advice. So I'm your friend and I say to you, oh my goodness, you won't believe it, Jorge. You won't believe it, Mosab. You won't believe it, Tomi. You won't believe it, Yuri. My coworker is stealing from the company. Now, this, I am coming to you as a friend to get your advice. So you need to provide me, your friend, advice. Now, let's practice using must plus base verb. And I chose this example specifically because remember, must is for an obligation. It's a very strong obligation. And this sounds like a very extreme situation. My coworker is stealing from the company. Now, when you steal something, notice you steal from someone or something being the company. So when you steal something, just like you can see in this picture, you take something that doesn't belong to you. You can steal an object, like here. You could steal money, of course. My coworker is stealing from the company. You could steal information as well. So how about let's practice this. You must. What could you provide as advice? You must what? You must, maybe you must report this. You must tell your boss. You must tell someone. You must talk to your coworker. Those are all options. What else could we say? So practice this. Put an example in the comments. You must, and then your base verb. You must tell someone. Notice you tell someone something, or you must say something to someone. You must say something to your boss. You must tell your boss. So notice the different structure there. So Tomi said, you must return it. Yes, exactly. So you would be talking directly to the person who stole it. You must return it. Now, if you're providing advice to a friend, it would be you must tell your coworker to return it. Because I'm not the one who stole it. It's the coworker who stole it. You must tell your coworker to return it, or speaking directly to the coworker, you must return it. Very nice, Tomi. How about Horatio said, you must talk to your boss. Exactly. So you talk to someone. You must talk to your boss. And notice your modal verb must and then the base verb. You must talk to your boss. Very good. Alexander said, you must report to the compliance department. Oh, exactly. So the compliance department, a specific department in the company. Now, there's something we need to do here, Alexander. You report something. So this requires the object. You must report this. You must report it to the compliance department. But you must use the object. So notice I just used must because I'm speaking from a point of obligation because there are rules in the English language. So you hear me and your other teachers say, you must conjugate your verb. You must use an article, because these are not suggestions, they're requirements from a position of authority, how the English sentence structure works. So you must use an object. You must report this to the compliance department. Excellent suggestion. Okay. How about Miranda? You must tell him. Exactly. You tell someone. You must tell him to not steal from the company. Not to steal, to not steal. Both are acceptable. What Miranda did is she left the infinitive together and put not in front of it. You must tell him not to steal from the company, which is excellent, Miranda. Alternatively, you can do to not steal. That is acceptable as well. That's called a split infinitive, but to be on the safe side, keep your infinitive together and put not before, like Miranda did. Great job. Okay, excellent. Yuri said, I must warn him about the consequences. That's an excellent one. Very nice. I must warn him. You warn someone about something. I must warn you about the dangers of driving without a seatbelt. For example, warn him about the consequences. Very nicely done, Yuri. All right. So let's practice some more advice. Now, remember, I chose this one because must is a very strong obligation. Now, if you're enjoying this lesson, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, because I do more of these lessons and I have many lessons on my channel. So make sure you subscribe and put yes, yes, yes if you're enjoying this lesson. So I know you want more lessons just like this. So put yes, yes, yes in the comments as well. Now, how about our next situation? So I'm your friend. And I say to you, oh, Miranda, Alexander, oh, Yuri, I feel so tired all the time. It's affecting my work. Do you have any advice? And now let's practice have to plus base verb. Don't forget that preposition to, and you have to conjugate your verb have. Okay, so and remember, you can put it in the comments, but I also want you to open your mouth and say the answer, say your advice, because I want you to practice speaking. So, I just feel so tired all the time. It's affecting my work. Notice affecting because this is a verb. Don't confuse this with effect. It's having an effect on my work because affect is a noun and affect with an A is a verb. So that's why I have the verb form here. Oh, well, first of all, I see lots of yes, 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 which is awesome. The Spav is enjoying this lesson. Woohoo! Vila is from Laos, and I hope you're enjoying this lesson. You gave me a thumbs up. Make sure you thumbs up this video as well. Heidika is enjoying this lesson. Amazing. Freddie, yes. Woohoo. I'm so glad. Okay. Now, Mosab asked affect. Well, what does it mean? It means that this situation is, so my work, let's say every day I need to write a report, but I'm tired. So it's taking me longer to write, or my writing isn't as good. I'm making mistakes. All of those are examples of how it's affecting my work. So there's a consequence on my work because of the situation. The situation is, oh, I feel so tired all the time. So please, you're my friend. Give me some advice. Have to plus base verb. So what could you say as advice? Put it in the comments and remember to practice speaking out loud as well, because I want you to open your mouth, say the words, because I want you to hear yourself speaking in English. Right now, I'm doing a lot of talking. I'm improving my speaking skills, but what about you? Okay, Yuri said, you have to go on vacation. Excellent suggestion. Thank you, Yuri. And that's true. So, everyone, open your mouth and say, you have to go on vacation. To go. Notice how I did to, unstressed, to go. Practice that. To go. To go on. Go on. To go on. To go on vacation. You have to go on vacation. All right, imitate my pronunciation to practice speaking as well. Excellent advice. And notice have plus to plus base verb. Alexander said, you have to take a rest since this tiredness is affecting your work, most likely. It could be affecting your work because you said my work, which belongs to Alexander, but you want to say your work, which would belong to me. You have to take a rest. Yes. And to be honest, in American English, we would probably say take a break, take a break, take a rest. Perhaps maybe is a little more British English. I don't speak British English, but in North America, we would say take a break, take a break. If I say take a rest, to me, that sounds like have a nap. Have a nap, but take a break means I'm going to stop working and I'm going to go for a bike ride or go on vacation or go play with my cats for a little bit, something like that. Okay. And Freddie said, I have to take a nap. I'm so exhausted. Yes, exactly. Very good. I have to take a nap. Now, in American English, we don't contract, we don't take our subject have and form a contraction when have is the main verb. I have to take a nap. Oh, I'm so exhausted. But Freddie, they do in British English. But I just want you to know in American English, we wouldn't form that contraction. I would say, I have to take a nap. You have to take a nap to provide advice to someone else. Okay. And Alexander said, you have to visit a doctor. Checking the reasons for this tiredness. Exactly. You have to visit a doctor so she can or so he can check the reasons for this tiredness. Exactly. Very nice. Fatima, similar advice. You have to do a checkup. Yes, exactly. We would say you have to get a checkup or go for a checkup. And exactly what Alexander said. So the doctor performs the checkup where he just checks your vitals and checks your heart, maybe even takes blood to check for any issues. But the doctor does the checkup, but as the patient, I would go for a checkup or I would get a checkup. Oh, I'm getting a checkup. I'm going for a checkup. Okay. And Manuel said, you have to make a break for longer. Ah, very nice advice, Manuel. Now, with break, what verb do we use? You don't make a break, but you take. You have to take a break. Take a break. Take a long break. So take a break where you stop working for a period of time. Sergi said, you have to change your focus temporarily. Excellent job. So now I'm focused on work. So I have to change my focus and maybe focus on my health or focus on my hobbies, focus on my family. Change your focus temporarily. So temporarily means for a period of time, but not permanently. Very nice. Okay. Patricia says, you have to take a long pause this summer. So again, in American English, very nice, Patricia, we would say take a break. Take a break. Take a break. Okay. Phyllis said, you have to get a few days off. Yes, exactly. You have to get a few days off. You have to take a few days off. You can also use the verb take. You take time off If I take time off, it means I do not work those days, even though normally I do. So let's say this week I take Friday off. Well, then it means I normally work on Friday, but this Friday I don't work. I'm taking Friday off. All right. Awesome. Let's try one more. Wake Up said you have to take a trip. Exactly. Another verb with take. You have to take a trip and spend your own time chilling there. So, chilling, that's a nice casual way of saying relaxing, taking a break, chilling. I'm just chilling. Very good. Excellent job, everybody. Everyone has such wonderful advice. And make sure you're practicing this out loud to practice your speaking as well. How about our next situation? I'm your friend, of course. And I say, oh, Tomi, Shri, Gur, Mohammed, Freddie, Mosab, I have an important project at work, but I feel overwhelmed. So when you feel overwhelmed, it means that you have so many things to do or so many tasks, and you feel you don't have enough time, or maybe you don't have the skills required. You don't have the tools that you need. You don't have the support that you need. You don't have the team that you need, the other people. And all of this causes feelings of anxiety or frustration, overwhelm. So it's a negative feeling, and it's a strong negative feeling. So let's provide some advice. What can you please help me? I need your advice. What should I do? So here, let's practice should plus base verb. You should what? Put it in the comments. I have an important project at work, but I feel overwhelmed. What should I do? Please give me some advice. I need your help. So remember, I want you to practice speaking, open your mouth and say it out loud. And after, you can also put it in the comments so I can make sure it's correct. And then once I review it, you can practice again and try to imitate my pronunciation. So let's practice overwhelmed. Notice this ED, whelmed. It's a very soft D, whelmed, whelmed. And then you just add over, overwhelmed. Repeat after me, overwhelmed. I feel overwhelmed. Good. Make sure you're practicing that out loud to practice your pronunciation. Now, notice you can feel overwhelmed or you can be overwhelmed, but I'm overwhelmed. I feel overwhelmed. Both of them are correct. All right. So let's see some advice that you are providing to me. So, first of all, Mauricio said, you got a lot on your plate. Exactly. So this is a great definition of when you're overwhelmed, it means you have a lot on your plate. So when you have a lot on your plate, it means you're very busy. You're busy with many different tasks, many different responsibilities. So what about you? Do you have a lot on your plate today? Do you have a lot on your plate this week? It means you have your to-do list is very long. You have many different tasks, many responsibilities. This doesn't have to be just with work. It could be at home as well. You have to plan a party. You have to take your parents to a doctor's appointment. You have to help your kids with schoolwork. You have a lot of chores to do at home. So all of that means you have a lot on your plate. Okay, so you can practice that as well. Great idiom. So that's an idiom, to have a lot on one's plate, your plate. So Manuel said, you should ask for help. So remember, if you're providing this as advice to someone, you want to use you as the subject. You should ask for help. And you don't need a help, it's just help, because help doesn't have a singular or plural form. I need so much help. I need a lot of help, but we don't add an S to help. So you don't need an article. I need help. You should ask for help. And that's an excellent piece of advice because if I feel overwhelmed, it's because I have so many things to do. So I should ask for help. Very good advice, Manuel. I agree with you. Okay, Mosab said, you should be patient with your work. Isn't that great advice? A lot of times we feel overwhelmed because we think we need to do everything right now. But if you're just patient, then you realize you don't have to do everything right now. Very nice. Nice advice. Okay. Anna said, first of all, ooh, very nice way to start. First of all, you should figure out what's causing it. Very nice. So figure out, this is a phrasal verb, to figure out. So it's in the base verb form. And when you figure something out, it means you understand it, you know the cause of it, you know why it's happening, and you can take action to solve it as well. So you should figure out what's causing it. Very nicely said, Anna. Okay, and Keaton said you should divide your work in a team. Very nice. So you should divide your work. So I have all this work and I should take one piece and give it to someone else and give this. So that would be divide your work. You should divide your work among your team. You should divide your work with your team. So those are prepositions you can use. Very good. And you had your should and base verb. Okay. And Gord said, what should I do? Exactly. What should I do? Please give me your advice. Okay. And Boshra said, you should take it easy. Exactly. You should take it easy. Take a deep breath and motivate yourself before starting. Isn't that very nice advice? You should take it easy. So take it easy is another way of just saying, just relax a little. Don't do so much. Take it easy. Okay. So I should stay calm first. Exactly. So if you're providing advice to yourself, I should stay calm. But if you're providing advice to someone else, you should stay calm. Very nice. Wake Up said you should ask for some help from your coworker. Yes, you can ask for help. You ask for something from someone. You should ask for some help. And remember, because help is always singular, there's no S, some help from your coworker. Very nice. Okay. Patricia said, you should loosen up. So if you're uptight or if you're overwhelmed, notice how your body actually becomes tight like this. Everything is tight, but then, now loosen up. Loosen up. So this means you should be more relaxed. Loosen up. You should loosen up. Very nice, Patricia. I love that. Okay, excellent advice, everyone. Let's practice another one. How about could? Now, remember with could is for possibility. So it's just a possibility. It doesn't mean you have to. It doesn't mean you must. It doesn't even mean you should. It's just a possibility. So I'm just sharing one possibility, and then you can decide if it's a good possibility or a bad possibility. So could is a very soft way to provide advice. So how about this one? I can't stop scrolling on my phone, just hours and hours a day, especially right before bed. I just sit there, I'm in bed, I'm scrolling on my phone. I waste so much time because I'm not doing anything productive. I'm not watching a video to help me improve my English speaking skills or learn how to use modal verbs correctly. I have both of those videos on my channel. So make sure you like this video and subscribe so you're not scrolling without a purpose. You can watch videos for educational purposes. So subscribe to my channel for lots more. But could plus base verb. You could, and then a base verb. And remember, this is just a possibility. It's not a requirement. It's a possibility. So it's a soft way to introduce advice. So what can I do? Provide a piece of advice using could and base verb. And remember, open your mouth and say it out loud to practice speaking as well. Okay, Tommy said you could leave your phone at home. Now, Tommy is not saying you must, you have to, or even you should. You could. It's a possibility. Very nice, Tommy. And base verb, you could leave. Leave is the base verb. You could leave your phone at home. Yeah, that's actually really good advice. I really like that advice. Now, you can change at home. If I am home and let's say I have a problem scrolling before bed, you could leave your phone in a different room or leave your phone in your car. And that way it isn't in your house when you're trying to go to bed. Excellent advice, Tommy. I really like that. Okay, what else could I do? Please give me some suggestions. Give me some advice. Jonathan said, you could try again and again till you make it. Yes, exactly. Just keep trying. You could try again and again. Now, I like how you added that again and again. Now, native speakers, sometimes we add it more just to be dramatic. I tried again and again and again and again, but I'm still overwhelmed or I still can't stop scrolling. Very nice advice. Okay. And Horatio said, you could turn it off. Well, isn't that a great possibility? I could turn it off. So again, it's not an obligation. You must turn it off. Notice how different that sounds. You must turn it off. You could turn it off. So there's a big difference between these modals, and that's why we're practicing. Very nice advice. Mossab said, you could resist temptation. Oh, you could resist temptation. So the temptation is that I'm just sitting here and I have this feeling in me, or the little voice says, pick up your phone, pick up your phone. And then if I resist it, I say, nope, not going to do it. Not going to pick up my phone. I just resisted the temptation. Very nice, Mosab. Okay. Rebel said you could use block apps to stop scrolling. Ah, exactly. So block apps, I guess those are apps that they block your ability. So they make it impossible for you to scroll. So I don't know how it works, but that sounds like a very beneficial app to have. Thank you for that suggestion, Rebel. I'm going to look into this. Now, notice if someone gives you some advice, you can always say something nice. Oh, thank you. That's a great suggestion. That's great advice. Advice is always singular. So you don't say that's great. That's all great advice. All great advice. No, it's just that's great advice. But that's a great suggestion because suggestion is singular or plural, but advice is always singular. That's a great suggestion. That's great advice. Okay. Now, Farhad said, is this live? Yes, indeed, it is live. But if you're watching the replay, which of course will be after this is live, still practice along. I still read the comments, even if you're commenting after the live session. So please practice along with us. Even if this isn't live, I still will read your comments and I'm very excited to hear your advice as well. So hello, everyone watching the replay after this is live. It's great to have you here. Okay. You should. Okay, let's see this one. Fatima said you could read a book instead. Exactly. And this is a suggestion. It's one possibility you could. And then we can decide together. Actually, yeah, that's really good advice because if I'm reading a book, my mind will be occupied with that book and I won't be tempted. I'll resist the temptation to pick up my phone and scroll because I'm doing something else. Very nice advice. Thank you, Fatima. Okay, Forever said you could start reading some books. Exactly. When this happens, we have an expression. Do you know what that expression is? In this exact situation, you can say, great minds think alike. Great minds think alike. Great minds think, because think is conjugated with minds. They think alike. Great minds think alike because Fatima said read a book and Forever says read a book. So great minds think alike. You could start reading some books in sometimes as daily basis and don't think of your phone. Exactly. Great job, Forever. Boshra said you could fill your life with various activities which interest you. Exactly. Exactly. Because if I have a lot of activities, I won't be tempted. Again, that temptation is the noun form, and then to tempt is the verb. To be tempted, I'm receiving it. I won't be tempted to use my phone because I'm spending time on activities. Very nice. Okay. Jamie said, you could talk to someone from time to time. Exactly. I could talk to a friend, talk to my family, talk to my students instead of scrolling on my phone. Very good. Very good. Okay. Now, isn't this amazing advice? You might be having some of these problems that I'm sharing. So now you have a lot of advice as well. Let's listen or let's review one more together. Okay. Wake Up said, you could set an alarm to go off in a few minutes. And then when the alarm goes off, just go to sleep. Oh, this is a really good time. You're giving yourself a limit. I can use my phone for, let's say, 15 minutes or 20 minutes. And I set my alarm. When the alarm goes off, I put my phone away. That's excellent advice, Wake Up. Very good. Okay, now this is a hypothetical. Remember, if I were you, and we use were for all subjects. So if she were you, if they were you, because it's a hypothetical, and I am not you. If I were you, I would, and then base verb. Just know that native speakers don't always follow this rule. Native speakers commonly say, if I was you, I would. Okay. A native speaker will say that. Don't be confused when you hear a native speaker say that. Just understand they're not following the grammar rule. But for yourself, for your IELTS, for academic writing, for any professional writing, the grammar rule is in this conditional, and you know it's a conditional because it starts with if. If you need were for all subjects, so it doesn't change. Now, the past simple of the verb to be conjugates with the subject. I was tired yesterday. You were tired. She was tired. We were tired. They were tired. It conjugates. But in this conditional, it does not conjugate. It's were for all subjects. Also note, you can change the order. You can say, I would, and then base verb. I would go to bed if I were you. So you can start with I would and then add on if I were you, or you can change it. If I were you, I would, and then your base verb. Okay, so the situation. Alexander, Gore, Najib, Freddie, Jamie, Anna. I don't like my job, but it pays well and I need to support my family. What should I do? What should I do? So you can reply back, if I were you. So you're putting yourself in my shoes. You're pretending that this situation is happening to you and you're sharing how you would handle, deal with, address this situation. So notice I said, you're putting yourself in my shoes. That's a great expression as well. To put yourself in someone's shoes. You're imagining you're that person. Okay, so let's review some of these. And remember, if you're enjoying this video, make sure you like it and subscribe so you get more great lessons like this. And so you can support this channel so I can make these lessons available to you as well. So Horatio said, if I were you, so Horatio is now Jennifer. So you can lead this class now, Horatio. If I were you, I would look for another job before quitting. Oh, very nice. I would look. Look is the base verb. And notice you look for something. So you need that preposition for. You look for a job. And then he said before. Before is a preposition. So you also need your gerund verb after this preposition, before quitting. Before quitting. You could also say before you quit to use a subject and verb, but you can just use the verb in ing form. If I were you, I would look for another job before quitting. Excellent advice, Horatio. Thank you. Okay. And Tommy said, if I were you, I would change the environment. Exactly. I would change the environment. And then, of course, Tommy can give me more information about, well, how can I do that? What do you mean by that? What can I change? So, of course, you can add on to this. And remember, you can switch this. You can say, I would change base verb. I would change the environment if I were you. So you can flip that word order as well. Olga said, if I were you, I would try to find some interesting in my job. Very nice. You just need to add something interesting in my job. I would try. So try is our base verb. I would try to find something interesting in my job. Excellent suggestion. So I would find a way to make my current job more interesting. That would be changing the sentence structure, but saying the same thing. Very good. Jonathan said, if I were you, I would apply for a new job. Exactly. Very nice. I would apply for. You apply for something, and that something being a position. Apply for a new job. Very good. Okay. And Mohammed said, if I were you, I would keep learning about my passion till I get the appropriate job. The appropriate. I think you mean appropriate, but you just forgot the A. The appropriate job. Yes, exactly. Because my problem is that I don't like my job, but maybe I don't like it because I'm not passionate about it. I'm not interested in it. So I need to keep learning about my passion. And this is what Muhammad would do in this situation. So if Muhammad were in my shoes. Okay, excellent. Vig said, if I were you, I would work harder. I would work hard. Work hard, work harder. Both of them the same. Both of them are grammatically correct. Very nice. If you're working hard, maybe you're too busy to notice you don't even like your job. Very nice. If I were you, I would work hard. Nice. Beauty said, if I were you, I would try for another job that I like. Yeah, I would try to get another job that I like. Very nice, beauty. Alexander said, if I were you, I would try to find good characteristics of the current job apart from the salary. Oh, very nice. So change my focus. Try to find something that I enjoy about my current job. If I were you. Very good. And Wake Up said, if I were you, I would find something fun as a hobby for yourself. I wouldn't quit the job because it pays well. Exactly. And notice, great job, Wake Up, because you can use I would, or you can make it negative. If I were you, I wouldn't quit. I wouldn't quit because I don't like it. I would find something fun as a hobby. So great job using that negative. All right. Awesome job, everyone. Okay. And Patrice said, if I were you, I would think twice before any further action. Okay. So think twice. I like that. Make sure you think twice before quitting. Before is our preposition. So your verb would be an ing. So think twice. You think once and then you think again because it's a serious decision. Excellent advice, Patrice. Okay, how about this one? Now notice I didn't provide the model. So now we tried must, have to, should, could, and if I were you. So we have our 5 options, and you can choose any of those options, and let's practice this one. So now you can choose any of them. You can even combine them as well. So Najib, Alexander, Katan, Patrice, Mohammed, Sai, Gore, Obaid. I need a new car. Look at this car. I can't get around in this. It barely even works and is really bad for the environment as well. I need a new car, but I can't afford one right now. What can I do? What should I do? Can you give me some advice? Can you help me? What would you do in my situation? What would you do if you were me? What would you do in my shoes? So notice all the different ways you can even ask someone to share their opinion with you, to provide you advice, to provide you with suggestions or recommendations. There are so many different ways you can even ask for advice. So make sure you can go back and review that section I just shared, and you can write all of those down as well. So I need a new car, but I can't afford one right now. What should I do? And remember, open your mouth and practice, practice, practice speaking out loud as well. And if you haven't already, if you're enjoying this lesson, make sure you subscribe, like this lesson, and also put yes, yes, yes. So I know you're enjoying this lesson. And if you're enjoying it, then I'll keep making lessons like this where we practice your speaking and we have fun and it's more interactive as well. So put yes, yes, yes if you're enjoying this lesson as well. Okay, so positive thinking said, if I were all rich, I would buy a new car. Okay. Now, rich, you don't need an article in front of it. It's just if I were rich. If I were rich. If I were rich, I would buy a new car. You could also say if I had the money. Now, the money, because it's the money to buy the car, it's specific money. It's not just money in general, it's the money that you need to buy a new car. If I had the money, if I were rich, I would buy a new car. Yes, excellent positive thinking. Very good. And that's why you're positive thinking, because you're going to think positively about this. Alexander said, if I were you, great job practicing that conditional. If I were you, I'd check a credit for this car. Okay, very nice. I'd check for a credit for this car. So to see if there's an option to get a new card on credit. So with a credit card, or if the car company will provide a loan, or maybe the bank will provide a loan as well. So you can use a credit card, or you can get a loan from the car company or the bank as well. Or maybe even a family member could provide you with a loan, give you the money that you need. But with a loan, you have to give the money back at a later period. So maybe your brother, your uncle, your mom gives you the money, but it's a loan. In the future, you have to give the money back. Okay. And Alexander said, if I were you, I would consider a second hand. Yeah, a second hand car. Does anyone know what a second hand car is? It's a used car. So it's a car that isn't brand new. Someone else previously owned the car, so it will be cheaper. A second hand car, a used car. Christian said, if I were you, I would start saving part of my salary to buy it. Very nice. And good job using start saving. Start saving. Saving is in the ing form because start is a gerund verb. I would start saving part of my salary. So your whole salary, you take one piece and you save it to buy it. Very nice. Miranda said you should. Nice job using should. You should buy a bike. Exactly. Great suggestion. I can't afford a car. Well, there are other ways to get around. You should. So should, providing a suggestion, recommendation, piece of advice. You should buy a bike. Really good suggestion. And if I can't afford a car, well, bikes are a lot cheaper. All right. And Tommy is enjoying this lesson. Yes, yes. Thank you. Leanne is enjoying this lesson. Yes, yes, yes. At is enjoying this lesson. Ella, Moses, Obaid. Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm so glad you're enjoying this lesson. I'm certainly having a lot of fun as well. Okay. And Manuel said, were I to have enough money, I would buy a new car. Yeah. Were I to have enough money. If I were to have enough money, were I to have enough money? Yeah, it's an alternative sentence structure you can use. Great job. All right. UCS said, if I were you, I would save money for investing. Very nice. I would save money for investing. Very good. If I were you. Okay. And Beauty said, I will work hard that I would buy a new car. Yeah. So you could say, I would. You can use would because it's the hypothetical. I would work hard in this situation. I'm not in this situation, but if I were, so that hypothetical, I would work hard until I could buy. Could is for the ability. I could buy a new car. I would work hard until I could buy a new car. Very nice, Beauty. And that's great, great advice. Anna said, you shouldn't go into debt at all. Very nice. So should is for advice and recommendations, but you can make it negative for, of course, things to avoid. You shouldn't go into debt. Use a bike or public transportation are some good options for you at this moment. Yeah, very nice. All right. And Hosine said, if I were you, so the hypothetical, I would borrow some money from a friend. Exactly. Very nice. I would borrow. So borrow is the same thing. You say to your friend, hey, Hosine, could I borrow $10,000 to buy a new car? And then Hosine says, yes, of course, Jennifer, you're my friend. Here you go. but it's temporary. So I borrow money from Hosine, and Hosine lends me money. So I borrow money from, I receive the money. Hosine lends me money. He gives me the money temporarily, but I have to give it back to Hosine. And of course, I will give it back. I will pay you back. Pay someone back. I will pay you back, Hosine. You can count on me. Okay. Catan said, I advise you could exchange your car with a new one. If you exchange your old car, it will help in the price. Exactly. So I advise you, and then you could just use the verb. I advise you to exchange. Otherwise, you could just say you could. You could exchange your car for a new one, and it will help with the price. So it will help lower the price because I give you this car and I get some money for it. And then that money goes towards a new one. Very good. And Jonathan said, in my shoes, I keep working to buy a new car. Exactly. Very nice. Okay. And Mossab said, if I were you, I would deal with my car until I can afford buying a new one. Yes. So afford is just a regular verb, and then you use the infinitive. Until I can afford to buy a new one.
Let's dive deeper into modal verbs because they are so useful and important to have in your vocabulary so you feel confident speaking. And at the end of this section, there's going to be a quiz, so pay close attention. First, let's talk about modal verbs of ability. Can, you know this one already. She can speak 4 languages fluently. Or, I can see the stars tonight. Notice for the structure, we have our subject, then we have the modal verb, and what comes next? The base verb. I can see. The base verb. I can see the stars tonight. You can't say, you can't say, I can to see the stars tonight. Using the infinitive is grammatically incorrect. So remember that structure, subject, modal, base verb. Don't worry about taking notes because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. You can use could for past ability. When I was younger, I could run fast. Now, because you use could, which is past ability, this means that today I can't run fast, or I can't run as fast as I could in the past. Notice I use the negative and a contraction. Today I can't run as fast. So the structure here is subject, modal, not, often formed as a contraction, so pay attention to those contractions, and then the base verb. I can't run as fast today. Also remember that modals are not conjugated. They're not conjugated with the subject or the time reference, so grammatically they're very easy. So don't say she can runs. You don't conjugate run with the subject she. You don't conjugate it at all. Of course, without the modal in the present simple, she runs very fast, you would conjugate it, but with the modal, she can run very fast. Let's combine these two together. When I was younger, I couldn't speak English, but now I can. I'm sure that describes you, so put yes I can, yes I can, yes I can, put that in the comments. Keep in mind that could is also the polite form of can. Could you open the window, please? Notice the sentence structure for questions. We have the modal, could, then the subject, could you, and then the base verb. Could you open the window, please? You can, of course, use can. Can you please open the window? Could sounds more formal, more polite. Notice the placement of please. It can come at the end of the sentence or after the subject. Now let's talk about permission, both asking for permission and giving permission. You can use can I leave early today? And then to answer, you can say, yes, you can, or no, you can't. I can give you permission and say you can borrow my book. In this case, may is the polite form of can. May I use your phone? Sounds more formal and polite than can I use your phone? Or to give permission, you may enter now. What about this question? May you open the window, please? What do you think about this question? This isn't natural. A native speaker would use could. Could you open the window, please? This is because may is not used with the subject you to ask for permission. With the subject you, to ask for permission, use could instead. The other subjects, you can use may. May I open the window? May she open the window? May we, may they open the window? But only for you, could you open the window? Don't forget that. Let's talk about possibility, but not certainty. Might, it might rain today. Could, it could rain today. Keep in mind, there is no agreement to what percentage of certainty that might and could represent. So it might rain. What is that? Is that 40% chance of rain, 60%, 80%? There is no general agreement. It depends on how the speaker interprets it. So you would just have to ask the person, well, how likely is it? Should I bring an umbrella? And the same goes for could. I'm sure you've noticed by now that one modal can have different meanings. So don't get confused by this. I could run fast when I was young. This is used for ability. Could you open the window, please? This is the polite form of can. It could rain later. This is for possibility. So you have to look to the context to understand how the modal is being used. Let's talk about obligation, must. This sounds forceful or legally required. You must wear a seatbelt. This is either a very forceful, strong recommendation from someone like your mother, or it is legally required. You must renew your passport. This is something a flight attendant might tell you, and they do not allow you to fly because your passport is expired, and this is an obligation. Native speakers commonly use have to when we want to sound less forceful. I have to finish this by tomorrow. We have to start eating healthy. Notice the structure here. We have have to plus base verb. If you prefer, you can think of it as have plus infinitive, which is to plus base verb. Either way, don't forget the to. For lack of obligation, take have to and turn it into the negative. Don't have to. You don't have to complete this form. You do not have to, and then as a contraction, you don't have to complete this form. Or your boss could say to you, you don't have to finish the report. There's a lack of obligation. For the structure here, notice do not, don't, have to, and then base verb. Let's talk about prohibition, things that are prohibited, not allowed, often legally. You can use cannot, and as the contraction, most commonly use can't. You can't smoke inside, that's prohibited. You must go outside, that's the obligation. You can't smoke inside, you must go outside. You can't use your phone during the exam, that's the prohibition. You must turn off your phone during the exam. That's the obligation. Cannot as one word is the correct spelling. The incorrect spelling is cannot as two words. So cannot, one word, or the contraction can't. Let's talk about must not, because this is a strong recommendation, but it is not a legal requirement. You mustn't sign the contract. This sounds more like my recommendation because I think it's a bad idea. You mustn't sign the contract. You must not sign the contract. But that isn't an obligation. If it were, I would say you can't sign the contract. You're prohibited from signing the contract. Let's talk about advice. You can use should to give and ask for advice or suggestions. You should study 5 days per week. You should eat more vegetables. You shouldn't quit your English class. You should not, you shouldn't. Ought to is used to give advice or suggestions. You ought to eat more vegetables. But ought to is not used in modern English. I remember my grandma using ought to, but I never do. If you do use it, just remember it's ought to plus base verb. You need that too. To ask for advice or suggestions, use should. Should we partner with this company? Should I stop following JForrest English? What do you think? Well, to reply, you can say, yes, you should, or no, you definitely shouldn't. Hopefully, you choose that option. Let's talk about shall. So you're at a restaurant, you just finished your meal, you paid for the check, and you can say to the table, shall we go? Shall we go? And then someone at the table could reply back and say, we shall. That is the only modern usage of shall. But it is very commonly used to suggest leaving a place. Shall we go? Shall we go? So if you want to use shall, I only recommend you use it in that specific context. Let's talk about will and would because they are modal auxiliary verbs, so they have many different meanings and uses. Will can be used for spontaneous future decisions. I will help you move. And I just decided in the moment. It wasn't something I planned. I'll help you move. It can be used for predictions, often with I think. I think it will rain tomorrow. It might rain. It could rain tomorrow. We also use will for promises and commitments. I'll subscribe and I'll like this video. If you say that and you use will, you just made a commitment. So make sure you subscribe and like this video so you don't break your promise. Let's talk about would. It's used in hypothetical situations. I would go on vacation if I had more time. So just by saying I would go on vacation, I know it's a hypothetical. We use would for polite requests or offers. Would you like me to make more lessons just like this? You can say, yes, I would, or no, I wouldn't. We also use would for past habitual actions. Remember, could was for past ability, but would is for a habitual action, something you repeatedly did in the past. When I was young, I would spend hours playing in the park. I loved it because I could run really fast. So could is the past ability, but would is the habitual past action. Here's how native speakers have fun with the meaning of modal verbs. Let's say you ask me for something and you say, Jennifer, could you help me? A native could reply back and say, I could, and maybe I should, but I won't. So the questioner is using could as the polite form of can. Could you help me? But I reply, and native speaker replies as a joke, I could, because we're using it for possibility. I could help you. And maybe I should help you because it's an advice or recommendation. But I won't, which is a refusal. So now you know everything you need to know about modals. Let's quiz your knowledge. Here are the questions. Hit pause and take as much time as you need, and when you're ready, hit play to see the answers. Here are the answers. Hit pause, review the answers, and when you're ready, hit play. Now let's get back to speaking, and you're going to keep helping your friend. And this time we'll focus on 3 common words that I see a lot of mistakes with: recommend, suggest, and advise.
Here is the first thing. I need your help, please. I feel so nervous speaking in front of people. I need your help. So I want you to give me your help. Open your mouth and provide me with, notice the verb here. It says recommend. And I chose this verb specifically because students make a lot of mistakes using this verb. So first, let me review the sentence structure with you. Recommend. You can use I recommend plus gerund. What is a gerund verb? It's your verb in ing. So notice we have the verb recommend, and the next verb subscribe is in the gerund form. I recommend subscribing to JForrest English. Hopefully, you would recommend that to all your friends, your coworkers, your family, or anyone you know learning English. Would you? Put yes in the chat if you would. I recommend subscribing to JForrest English. That is the gerund structure. Another structure you can use is recommend plus clause. A clause is a complete sentence, a subject, a verb, and an object if required. I recommend that you, subject, subscribe, verb, to JForrest English, the object. Now notice that is optional. You can say, I recommend you subscribe. I recommend that you subscribe. It's optional. So now let's practice this fully. Now, first, I want you to use recommend plus gerund. Remember, your verb in ing. So please, Jonathan, Heideka, Ava, Mead, Gatluck, Stella, I need your help. I feel so nervous speaking in front of people. What do you recommend? What do you recommend? I could also ask, what would you recommend? Because it's a hypothetical. What would you recommend? What do you recommend? So I want you to answer and use recommend plus gerund. Now remember, put your recommendation in the chat. And also open your mouth and say it out loud. And in this case, we're practicing recommend plus gerund. So let's review some recommendations here. Stella said, I recommend you study hard if you want to get good grades. Good marks. Good marks, good grades, the same thing. That is a great sentence, Stella, and it's grammatically correct. And it uses our structure here. I recommend subject, verb, object, a clause. You study hard. You could end the sentence there. I recommend you study hard. But she provided more information if you want to get good marks, good grades. And remember, you can have an optional that, not required. I recommend that you study hard if you want to get good marks. Excellent job, Stella. Now, you can also practice turning this into the gerund. So what would this be in the gerund form? I recommend studying. I recommend studying. So in the gerund form, you get rid of the subject and you take your verb and you put it in the ing. I recommend studying if you want to get good marks. Excellent recommendation, Stella. Okay, so again, Roberto, AK, Mohammed, Fred, I feel so nervous speaking in front of people. What do you recommend? And you can practice with recommend and gerund. Now, I know a lot of you are watching the replay. You're not here live with me, but still write your example in the chat. I do read the comments after the replay as well. And also open your mouth and speak, speak, speak. I recommend. So practice that. Just get that pronunciation. I recommend. Here we go. AK said, I recommend learning from Jennifer. Exactly. Very nice. And I'm so glad you recommend that. I recommend learning from Jennifer. Now, you can learn from someone, which you're doing right now. You can also learn with someone, learn with Jennifer. You could use that preposition as well. Excellent recommendation. Now, notice as the noun, excellent recommendation. Recommend is the verb, recommendation is the noun. So, excellent recommendation. It's a something. Okay, excellent job. So, let me review another one. So Wake Up said, I recommend taking our verb in ing. I recommend taking a deep breath. Let's practice that. That is excellent advice. And honestly, Wake Up, before I started this live stream, I took a deep breath. So excellent recommendation. Recommendation. I recommend taking. Very good. And you take a deep breath. Excellent job. Okay. Ansia said, I recommend keeping improving even if you feel nervous. Yes, in this case, I wouldn't use the keep. I would just say, I recommend improving even if you feel nervous. Keeping improving, I recommend keeping improving. I would probably just say, I recommend improving even if you feel nervous. Excellent recommendation. Okay, and Jonathan said, I recommend you studying more vocabulary with JForrest. Well, thank you so much. But this is a mistake, a common mistake. We can't mix these structures. So notice you can either say, I recommend subscribing with your gerund, or you use, I recommend you subscribe. So you can't use the subject and the gerund. It would be, I recommend studying more vocabulary with JForrest, or I recommend you study more vocabulary with JForrest. All right. Awesome job, Jonathan. Great recommendation. Sweetie said, I recommend practicing in front of the mirror. So notice recommend and then our verb in ing. I recommend practicing in front of a mirror. Excellent advice. And I agree with that suggestion as well. So many amazing recommendations here. And again, that noun form, recommendations, that's a something. Okay, so now we practiced with the gerund. So let's practice with the clause. Remember, the clause is a subject, a verb, and an object if the sentence requires it. So here you can see it again. I recommend you subscribe. And you can use an optional that. I recommend that you subscribe. I recommend you subscribe. So what would you provide now in the clause? I feel so nervous speaking in front of people. Can you please help me, Jerry, Jamie, Moses, Fred, Stella? Can you please help me? Can you give me your recommendation? So there it's the noun form. Can you give me your recommendation? Any recommendations you could share? Can you recommend anything. So you can use the noun form, recommendation, or the verb form when you're asking to receive it from someone. Okay, so I recommend you keep practicing. Exactly. So in this case, we have our verb keep, and then notice how the next verb practicing is in the ing. That's because in this case, the verb keep is a gerund verb. Keep learning, keep improving, keep going, keep working, keep eating, keep sleeping. Whatever your verb is in the ing because keep is a gerund verb. I recommend subject, you, verb, keep, and then the rest of your sentence. And because the verb keep is used, we need the gerund verb for the next verb. Excellent sentence structure, AK. Okay. Nicholas said, I'd recommend that start to speak with others who can't speak English. Yes, and notice how Nicholas said I apostrophe D. Does anyone know what this is short for? I'd recommend. I would recommend. So you can absolutely say this because it's introducing it. I would recommend. I'd recommend that you start to speak with others. So you need the subject here, that you start. Otherwise, the sentence is perfect. Excellent job, Nicholas. An excellent recommendation. Okay. I recommend to read English news regularly. Yeah, so notice here it's the infinitive. This is an acceptable sentence structure. It's not the most common. A native speaker would say, I recommend that, optional. I recommend you read. I recommend you read English news regularly. All right, excellent recommendation. Yes, we have some great comments. Okay. Here we have Stella. I'd recommend noticing that apostrophe D. I'd recommend you take care about your health. Yeah, you take care of your health. You take care of something. You should take care of your health. You should take care of yourself. You should take care of your health. Very nice. I'd recommend. So you can absolutely use that as well. Okay, excellent job. Now, if you're enjoying this lesson, if you want me to make more lessons where you practice your speaking and you get feedback in real time on your sentence structure, you want these live lessons, then put yes in the comments and make sure you like this lesson. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share this lesson with your friends. And if you like it, if I know you like it, if more people like the video, put yes, watch it, then I'll keep making these live streams as well. So, how about a different question? I need your help. I want to get in shape, but I hate going to the gym. Can you relate to that? Do you feel the same way? Now, notice to get in shape. To get in shape means you become healthy. So you can do that by losing weight, by gaining muscle, whatever that is. I want to get in shape. Get in shape. In shape. And the verb is get. I want to get in shape, but I hate going to the gym. And this time, I want you to use the verb suggest. Now, our same sentence structure, you can use suggest plus gerund or suggest plus that, optional, and a clause. I suggest subscribing to JForrest English. I suggest that you subscribe to JForrest English. So first, let's use suggest plus gerund. So remember, I suggest, and then you need a verb in ing. So again, please help me. Gore, Partik, Hajar, Ma, Fred, Asham, please help me. I want to get in shape, but I hate going to the gym. What would you suggest? What do you suggest? You can use the verb would or do as the auxiliary verb. What would you suggest? What do you suggest? Now, does anyone know what the noun form is? Suggest is the verb. What is the noun? The noun is, do you have any suggestions? Suggestions. I'd love to hear your suggestions. What do you suggest? What are your suggestions? Do you have any suggestions? Can you share some suggestions? All right, so that's the noun form. What do you suggest? So let's see if there are any suggestions. The noun, repeat that. That's a difficult word. Repeat after me. Suggestions. 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 Any suggestions? Excellent. Make sure you say it out loud. Okay. Let's look at some suggestions. And yes, Alexander knew that the noun form was suggestion. Great job. And reporter said, I suggest changing your diet. Yes, exactly. So to get in shape. So that could be to lose weight, to gain more muscle. I suggest changing. The verb is change and it's in the gerund form, the ing form. I suggest changing your diet. Excellent suggestion. So again, you can use that noun form to comment. Excellent suggestion. What a great suggestion. I appreciate your suggestion. Thanks for sharing your suggestion. So notice all those noun forms. Okay, any other suggestions? Here, I don't see a lot using the gerund verb. So remember, we're practicing with the gerund verb here. So I see a lot of different sentence structures. So let's see one with the gerund. Wake up has a gerund. I suggest watching what you eat. Yeah, so similar advice to what we just had from reporter. He said, I suggest changing your diet. I suggest watching what you eat. Now, when you watch what you eat, you don't just literally watch it as you're eating a sandwich and you look at it. When you watch what you eat, we use this. Someone might offer you a piece of cake and you say, oh no, I'm watching what I eat. So this is an expression that means you're being careful about what you choose to eat or not eat. And you're doing this to be healthier, to lose weight. So you're watching what you eat. You're trying to purposely consume more healthy food and not consume unhealthy food. So someone offers you a piece of cake. No, thank you. I'm watching what I eat. What about you? Are you watching what you eat? Okay, Carlos said, I suggest exercising hard, especially if you want. We don't want that S there. You add the S if it's he or she or it, but not with any other subject. If you want to get in shape. So excellent suggestion. Excellent suggestion, Carlos. I suggest exercising hard. Okay, great suggestion. Let's see. Any other ones with a verb? I suggest, Fred said, I suggest, notice we have our ing. I suggest buying home workout equipment. Well, that's a great suggestion because I hate going to the gym. Now, because I don't like going to the gym, I hate going to the gym, Fred is suggesting that I work out at home, that I buy home workout equipment. Very good suggestion. I suggest buying. So that verb in ing. Very nice. Okay, sorry, I don't know how to say your name. I suggest giving up all junk food. Exactly. So notice how I said it a little bit differently than what was written, because food, we view this as a collective noun. So when I go grocery shopping, I say, what food do we need? What food do we need? Oh, we need lettuce, chicken, bread, eggs, milk, butter, celery, tomatoes. And then you list all the different food, but we don't add an S to food. So I suggest giving up all junk food. Do you know what junk food is? Can you think of an example of junk food? We refer to all food that is generally not good for you, very high in sugar, salt, as junk food. And it's food that is just easy to eat. So chips, chocolate bars, candy, anything like that, we just call junk food. I suggest giving up. And when you give something up, it means you no longer do it. I suggest giving up all junk food. Excellent suggestion. Excellent suggestion. Anything else here? Moses says, I suggest preparing your mind first. Okay, your mind firstly. I know that was it's a typo. This is what we call a typo when you accidentally hit the wrong letter. So here the person wrote it with a T, tour, but that's a typo. It should be with a Y. And if you look at your keyboard, they're side by side. So it's a typo. I suggest preparing your mind firstly. Yeah, so mentally preparing. I suggest mentally preparing your mind. So notice our verb is prepare and it's in the ing form. Okay, and Suzanne said, I suggest visiting a nutritionist. A nutritionist. So this is a specialist. I'm not sure if a nutritionist is officially a doctor, to be honest. Perhaps they have a medical degree. I'm not sure. So a professional, a specialist that specializes in what you eat and the vitamins you get, the nutrients you get, a nutritionist. And you can visit a nutritionist. I suggest visiting a nutritionist. Excellent advice, Susan. Okay. And Corinthianus. Sorry, I probably did not say that correctly. I would suggest. Everybody, let's practice that pronunciation of the contraction so you sound like an American native speaker, because that's the English that I speak. Notice how soft that D is. I'd suggest. So when you say it as a sentence, I'd suggest, you really don't hear that D at all. I suggest, I'd suggest. It's almost indistinguishable. But in written English, you have to include it. But in spoken English, you don't really hear it. So let's practice I'd suggest. I'd suggest. Keep practicing that. I'd suggest jogging in the morning. And that's a great suggestion because we need the noun form. Everyone has such amazing suggestions. Really great job. I'm so happy with all of these. Now let's practice with a clause. So remember, our clause is we need a subject, a verb, and an object, and an optional that. So now with the clause, I want to get in shape, but I hate going to the gym. Can you relate to that? This is actually true for me. I hate going to the gym. So all of these suggestions are very helpful. Thank you so much. What else? What other suggestions do we have? And this time we'll practice with a clause. Okay, here we go. Mike has a clause because I see a subject, a verb, and then the rest of the sentence is the object. And remember, there's an object is more commonly written, and in spoken English, native speakers frequently don't say that in spoken English, but we're more likely to include it in written English. But just know that both ways are correct. I suggest that you train yourself at home. Very good. So train yourself, work out, do exercises, many different ways to say the same thing. Excellent sentence structure, and thank you for your suggestion. Okay, Stella said, I suggest to my friend we practice beach tennis 3 times a week. Very good. This case, I suggest that we practice beach tennis 3 times a week. Now, if you actually did say this to your friend, you would put your verb in the past simple. I suggested to my friend we practice beach tennis 3 times a week. Because if you're telling us now, you already did this. So you already made this suggestion. So the verb suggest needs to be in the past simple. But excellent sentence structure. So you can say, I suggested to my friend that we practice, or I suggest we practice, because you can use any subject. I suggest they practice. I suggest we practice. Very good. Pong said, I suggest you should apply an intermittent fasting method. Yeah, very good. I suggest you apply. You don't need the should, because should is also a different way to introduce a suggestion. If you use should, you would just say, you should apply an intermittent fasting method. I suggest you apply an intermittent fasting method. So I wouldn't use both suggest and should in one sentence like this, because they have a similar meaning. But excellent suggestion. Okay, Jamie said, I suggest to you swim in the pool 3 days a week. Okay, so remember that sentence structure. We have I suggest. Now, instead of to, you can have an optional, not required, optional that. I suggest that you swim in the pool 3 days a week. Now it's correct. Or you can get rid of to altogether. So I suggest you swim in the pool 3 days all week. So not at week, it's all week per week. You can use either all week per week. All right, excellent suggestion, Jamie. Banu said, I suggest that you must not eat fast food too much. Yes, very nice. You must not eat fast food too much. So if you said too much, it means that I can still eat some fast food, just not frequently. So limit the amount, maybe 1 day a week, 2 days a week, but not too much. Very good suggestion. Okay. Sweetie said, I suggest that you do brisk walking whenever you can. Yeah, very nice that you do brisk walking. So, brisk is when you walk at a faster pace, a more intense pace. So, your heart rate increases. Because if you just normally walk, is your heart rate probably wouldn't increase. But if you walk briskly, briskly is the adverb. I suggest that you walk briskly whenever you can. So you walk at a faster, more intense pace so your heart rate increases and is more exercise. Excellent suggestion. Okay. Vitali said, I suggest you use a bicycle to commit to work instead of a car. Yes, excellent suggestion. I suggest that, or optional that, I suggest you use a bicycle. I don't know what you mean to commit to work. You wouldn't commit to work. You could use it to, oh, I bet this is a typo as well, to commute to work. So UTE, to commute. Yes. Excellent suggestion. Very nice suggestion, Vitali. Okay. Ada said, I suggest that you watch social movies. Okay, I don't know how I'll get in shape, but maybe the movies can be related to working out, perhaps. But excellent sentence structure. Now, there is a formatting issue here. And formatting is extremely important in English because it makes your writing look professional or not very professional. And the formatting issue is you need a capital I. The subject I is always capitalized. I suggest that you watch social movies. There's no difference in pronunciation. I said it again, but there's no difference in pronunciation. But the capital I always needs to be uppercase capitalized. The subject I. All right. Other than that, excellent suggestion. Now, how about this? I need some help. I need your help. I do way more work than my teammates. It's not fair. So if I do way more work, way is an intensifier. It makes it stronger. I could say I do more work than, notice, than my teammates. So my teammates do 10% of the work. I do 90% of the work. My teammates do one assignment. I do 5 assignments. And you can add way to make it sound stronger. I do way more work than my teammates. It's not fair. So fair means that it's just, it seems that it is the right thing. So of course, them doing one assignment and me doing 5 assignments, that doesn't seem fair. If it were 2 and 2, 3 and 3, then it seems fair. So now let's practice with the verb advise. First of all, pronunciation. The noun is advice. Advice. The verb is advise. Notice that voice. Advise. Advise. Repeat that out loud. Advise. I advise. I advise. Thanks for the advice. Repeat. Advice. Advice. Thanks for the advice. Advise, verb, advise, advice. Okay, you have the pronunciation. Make sure you practice that. It's very important. Now, same sentence structure. Isn't this easy? We have recommend, suggest, advise, the same sentence structure. I advise subscribing to JForrest English with our gerund. I advise that you subscribe to JForrest English. Remember, that is optional. So let's practice with the gerund first. I do way more work than my teammates. It's not fair. Can you give me some advice? Can you give me some advice? That's the noun form. Can you give me some advice? I need your advice. I need your advice. Can you give me some advice? What would you advise? That's the verb form. What would you advise? What do you advise? Okay, let's see if anyone has shared any advice in the comments. And notice I said any advice, some advice. What do you notice about that? Any suggestions? Any recommendations? Any advice? Advice is a singular noun. So it does not exist with an S. There is no word in English, advices, with an S. I hear this from students every day, but it does not exist. So make sure you can use some. Can you give me some advice? It has to be singular. Some advice, no S. Some suggestions with an S. Some recommendations with an S, but advice, no S. Remember that. Advice, no S. Okay, so do you have any advice for me? Let's see. An advice plus gerund. Advice plus gerund. Mariana said, I advise making a meeting to talk about it. Ah, that's a very good piece of advice. Now, notice because advice is uncountable, we don't add an S. If you do want to highlight one, you say piece of. That's a great piece of advice. That's a great piece of advice. You could also just say, that's great advice. That's good advice. You don't have to say piece of, but if you want to show the number, you use piece of. You could say, I shared 2 pieces of advice with my coworker. I shared 1 great piece of advice with my coworker. So that's how you make it plural or singular. You add piece of. But for the most part, you can just say, that's great advice. Thanks for your advice. Now, Mariana, we wouldn't say make a meeting. You don't make a meeting. That verb make isn't correct. You would say, I advise scheduling a meeting. So you can schedule a meeting. I advise scheduling a meeting to talk about it. Otherwise, it's perfect. All right. Excellent advice. And I agree. That is a good piece of advice. All right. Alexander, a little bit on the other side. I'd advise looking for another job. Exactly. So if things aren't working at this job, if it's not fair, so the workload isn't fair. Workload is the amount of work. And you can have a heavy workload and a light workload. So heavy workload means you have a lot of work, and a light workload means you don't have a lot of work. So if I have a heavy workload, but my teammates have a light workload, it's not fair. So I should look for another job. I'd advise. I would advise. I'd advise. Repeat after me. I'd advise. I'd advise. I'd advise looking for another job. And notice that preposition. You look for something. You can look for your pen because you don't know where it is. So you look for something. I'd advise looking for another job. Excellent advice, Alexander. Oh, right. Banu, I advise discuss that with your teammates. So good piece of advice. Notice again, I said piece of, but what do we need to do here? There's something incorrect about this sentence structure. Do you know? Banu, do you know? Everyone watching, do you know what change needs to be made? It's really useful to think about this when you see a comment on YouTube or on social media. Don't assume that it's correct. Question, is that using correct sentence structure? So what do we need to do? Banu knows. I advise discussing that with your teammates. Excellent job, everyone. Okay. Horatio said, I advise looking for a new work team. Yes, exactly. So in this case, maybe it's not a new job. Maybe in the company, there are different areas and I can find a new team in the company I currently work for. I advise looking for a new work team. Exactly. Very good piece of advice. Excellent. Moises said, I advise talking to your boss. Exactly. And notice you talk to someone. You can talk to someone about something. I advise talking to your boss about the workload. Remember? About the workload, about how the work is being divided. So I advise talking to your boss about. Very nice. Okay, Mohammed said, I would like to give you piece of advice. Oh, so I advise you abandon your current job. Really nicely done, Mohammed. I'm so happy you tried to use piece of advice. There's just one minor but important. And this is the hard part about English is that there is one very minor mistake, but it makes a big difference in how your level sounds. So, does anyone know what the mistake is here? Because unfortunately, Mohammed, that the mistake you made, it makes your level sound low, but the mistake is a very small mistake. But let's see, does anyone know? Yeah, I see some comments here. Ah, exactly. So, sweetie, and Jasmina, piece of advice. Yeah, even Mohammed, you knew. Piece of advice. Oh, and Mohammed said, my bad, my bad. I like that. My bad is a very natural way, a very casual but friendly, colloquial way of saying, I made a mistake. My bad, my bad. Exactly. But the important thing is, if you make, even though it's just a very minor mistake forgetting the article, if you were to submit your application, resume, cover letter, or a report to a client and you made a mistake like this, unfortunately, it would have a big impact, even though it's a small mistake. So, what you need to do is after you write something, make sure you review it to make sure there aren't these minor mistakes that have a big impact. But oh, wow, so many people knew it was a piece. Really great job, everyone. I'm very happy that everybody knew that. Okay, so let's keep practicing. Advise plus gerund. Okay. Luis just, I advise you watching English movie whether you want to be fluent in English. What do we need to do here? So think back to that sentence structure. You can use I advise plus gerund, which is your verb and ing, and you use watching your verb and ing. But then you also had the subject. I advise you. So what you need to do is either get rid of you, I advise watching, or I advise you watch and just use the verb watch. All right, great piece of advice. Great piece of advice. So now let's practice with a clause. We just reviewed it, but let's review it one more time. The clause is I advise, optional that, more common in written English, less common in spoken English, but both are correct. And then we need a clause, which is a complete sentence, subject, verb, object. Okay, so again, I need your help. I do way more work than my teammates. It's not fair. Do you have any advice? Do you have a piece of advice? Can you share some advice? What would you advise using that verb form? What would you advise? So let's practice. I advise plus clause. Subject, verb, object. Okay. Jonathan said, I advise you to collaborate with them. So let's, instead of the infinitive to collaborate, you just need your verb. So I advise you collaborate with them. I advise you collaborate with them. Excellent piece of advice, Jonathan. Thank you for that. I advise that you should stay calm and do your job in time. In time. All right. Good piece of advice, Banu. In this case, on time and in time are very similar in meaning, but when you use them, matters. So we use on time if there's a deadline, for example, 5 p.m. And I submit the report at 4:30. I submitted it on time. Now we use in time to talk about before something negative happens. So I got to the airport in time because I didn't miss my flight. So that is the something negative that happens. Those two, on time, in time, they're very similar. I believe I have a full lesson on that. So you can search my channel for on time, in time to learn more about that topic. Okay. And AK said, I advise you find another job. Very good. Good piece of advice. Thank you for your advice. Excellent. Janet said, I advise that you discuss the workload with your coworker. Oh, I love it, Janet. Sounds very advanced. And I love how you use workload. I don't know if you just learned that from me in this lesson, but excellent job. It sounds very advanced. I advise that you discuss subject, verb, optional that. I advise that you discuss something, discuss the workload, and you discuss something with someone. Discuss the workload, something with someone, with your coworker. Excellent sentence structure. It sounds very advanced. You nailed it. You nailed it. You know what that means, right? You nailed it. You did an amazing job. You nailed it. Great job, Janet. Okay. Jag said, I advise you communicate with your teammates. Exactly. You communicate with someone. I advise you communicate with your teammates. Excellent piece of advice. Horatio said, I advise that you talk to your team. Exactly. Talk to someone. And in this case, team, remember that team, the word team is a collective noun. It represents more than one person. I advise that you talk to your team. Excellent. Okay. Sweetie says, I advise you discuss with your teammates and make a workload plan. Yeah, very good. Make a workload plan. So the workload is the amount of work. So if you make a workload plan, it sounds like we're discussing who does what. Okay, I'll do this, you do that, she can do this. So you make a workload plan. I really like that. The only thing I would say is you discuss something with someone. So with this something, I would just use the word it. I advise you discuss it being the workload. You can also use this. I advise you discuss this situation, or it, the workload, with your teammates, because it sounds incomplete in English to say discuss with someone without specifying the what. You discuss something with someone. Jamie said, I advise that you talk with your boss. Exactly. That you, subject, verb, and you talk with someone. Now, notice before you can talk to someone, you can talk with someone. Ultimately, they're the same. Talk to sounds like right now I'm talking to you. It sounds more like a one-way conversation. The emphasis is on one person speaking, the other person receiving. When you talk with someone, it sounds more collaborative, more of a conversation, but ultimately they're the same and you can use both prepositions. Okay. Sobriova. I advise you to communicate with your team and your boss. Yes, exactly. You don't need that preposition to. You don't need the infinitive. You can just use the verb. I advise you communicate with your team and your boss. All right. Excellent. And yes, Luis said, thanks for your advice. Oh, there's just a spelling issue. Otherwise, this would be perfect because you spelled it as the verb form. So grammatically, this requires the noun. And I'm sure you meant the noun, but you spelled it as the verb. Thanks for your advice. Advice is the noun, and we need the noun because this is a something. Your advice. Your advice. Very good. So close to nailing it, but you made a typo most likely and you wrote S instead of C, but that changed it into the verb form. So it's interesting how just a small typo or a small mistake can really create a big issue in English. And this is why you always want to review your work before submitting it. Now, of course, if you were to submit a job application, you would want to review it many, many times compared to just submitting a comment where the consequence of a mistake isn't very high. Okay. Paulo said, I advise that you explain the situation to your teammates. Exactly. So you explain something, you explain the situation. The situation is something to your teammates. So you explain something to someone. And it's really important when you learn new words, new vocabulary, you learn the full sentence structure. You know what prepositions you need. You know the different sentence structure options. In this case, when you're learning something with multiple sentence structures, you can always learn one sentence structure first, the gerund, and then when you get comfortable with that, you practice that, then you can learn another sentence structure and then practice that and get comfortable with that as well. Excellent job, Paulo. Okay, how about one more piece of advice that you can share and we'll review a few more. Well, I have to share this one because MD said, I advise. There's a spelling issue here, though, because if I were to pronounce this as you wrote it, I would say I advise. But that's not correct because we need a verb. So I have to change the spelling. I advise the verb. I advise that you learn English from JForrest English. Well, I really appreciate that. I appreciate your advice. And thank you for advising everyone to do that. So I agree. So like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, leave a comment as well. And make sure you use that verb form though. So be careful with these two words because a spelling mistake can create a big issue. All right. Mo said, another one of these mistakes. We were doing so well, but now another mistake here with the spelling. So again, this is the noun form that you wrote, but we want the verb form. I advise. That's the verb, so you need to change this to an S. I advise that you read the labor law book. So let's review this. I advise that is optional. And then you need the subject, verb, and object. I advise you read, that you read, or you can use the gerund. I advise reading the labor law book. Okay. Let's do another one here. Alexander said, I'd advise that you stop monitoring other people, but rather focus on your work improving. Excellent piece of advice, Alexander. Excellent piece of advice. Very nice that you stop monitoring. So notice monitoring is in the ing form because stop is a gerund verb. Stop monitoring other people. In this context, in this meaning, it's a gerund verb, but rather focus on your work improving. Excellent piece of advice, Alexander. Okay. And reporter said, these are some great pieces of advice. You got it. You nailed it because we have some, which is a plural word. Great is your adjective. Pieces with an S because you said some. So we need pieces with the S, but advice without the S because it's uncountable. These are some great pieces of advice. You nailed it. Excellent job. And I completely agree with you. Everyone has shared such amazing advice.
Now let's dive deeper into these three words, recommend, suggest, and advise, because there are many different ways that you can use them, and there are many mistakes that I hear students make. So let's say you're at a restaurant, you're looking through the menu, and then you ask your server, what would you recommend me? Or you're discussing a problem with your boss and you ask, what would you suggest me? What do you think about these sentences? Are these sentences grammatically correct or incorrect? What do you think? Well, these sentences are wrong. You can't say, what would you recommend me, suggest me, yet I hear it every single day. In fact, I hear this so much from students that it's starting to sound normal just because I hear it every single day, and I have to remember that's not correct. And the reason why this is incorrect is because the sentence structure is incorrect. Following the verb recommend, suggest, we do not want an object pronoun. Me is an object pronoun. The good news is there's a very easy way to fix this. Just don't say me. If you're at a restaurant, say, what would you recommend? If you're talking to your boss, say, what do you suggest? That's all you need to do, because grammatically, from a sentence structure, we don't want the object pronoun. Now let's take a look at this example I saw on Youglish. The example is, I recommend you find 150 books. Now this is where students get confused because they see you, I recommend you. So why can't I say, what would you recommend me? Because this you is not an object pronoun. It's tricky because you is both the subject pronoun, I, you, he, she, it, we, they, and you is also the object pronoun, me, you, him, her. But in this sentence, the you is a subject pronoun. Now you'll notice here, we have our verb recommend, and then following the verb recommend, we have a clause. A clause is a subject, a verb, and an object. I recommend you is the subject. Find is the verb. 150 books is the object. Now, in written English, you can use that to connect recommend, and the clause. I recommend that. I suggest that. It's optional, and in written English, it's most commonly included, but in spoken English, it's most commonly left out. So based on what I just said, what do you think about this sentence? The doctor suggested me to lose weight. Is this sentence correct or incorrect? What do you think? The doctor suggested me to lose weight. It's wrong. You can't say this because me is an object pronoun, and we do have a verb, but the verb isn't even conjugated with anything. It's just in the infinitive form. So remember, we need recommend, suggest, plus a clause. A clause is a subject, a verb, and an object. So how can we fix this sentence? We can say, the doctor recommended that I lose weight. I is our subject. Lose is our verb. Notice the verb is conjugated with the subject, and our object is weight. Remember, that is optional. Most likely, I'll keep it in with written English and I'll leave it out with spoken English. The doctor recommended I lose weight. Another quiz for you. What do you think about this sentence? Would you recommend me for the promotion? Would you recommend me for the promotion? What do you think? Is this good or bad? This is good. Don't be confused. I'm going to make this very clear for you. Would you recommend me for the promotion? In this sentence, I am not receiving the recommendation. I am the recommendation because you can recommend something. For example, I recommend the duck. If you're at a restaurant and you're looking for different items, there's chicken, fish, and duck. I recommend the duck. That's a something. So in this case, I am the recommendation. I'm the recommendation for the promotion. Think of it like this. Your boss asks you, who should we recommend for the promotion? Who should we recommend? We should recommend Jennifer. Of course, why wouldn't you? We should recommend Jennifer. I am the recommendation. So in my question, remember, I asked my colleague, would you recommend me for the promotion? This is not the same as saying, what would you recommend me? Because that is incorrect. In that case, I'm receiving the recommendation. I am not the recommendation. I'm receiving it. And then you don't want an object pronoun, and you simply say, what would you recommend? I recommend the duck. Who would you recommend? I recommend Jennifer. There's another sentence structure you need to know, and that's recommend, suggest, plus gerund. Gerund is your verb in ing. For example, I recommend drinking 8 glasses of water a day. I recommend ordering the duck. Now let's talk about advise. You can say he advised signing the contract. So what do you notice here? What's the sentence structure? What do we have right here? Well, of course, we have advise plus gerund. So this is the same thing we can do with recommend or suggest. And you can also say, he advised that I sign the contract. So what do you notice about this sentence structure? Well, it's advise plus that, which is optional. And then we have our clause, subject, verb, and then our object. So this is also the exact same sentence structure you can use with recommend or suggest. Now, what about this sentence? He advised me to sign the contract. Advised me. He advised me. What do you think? Is this correct or incorrect? Well, this is correct. So with this specific verb, advise, you can have a pronoun. You can advise someone. But notice what comes next. We have our infinitive, to plus base verb. He advised me. He advised him. He advised her. He advised you to sign, to go, to eat, to drink. Any infinitive. And then our object, the contract. So advise is more flexible. You can use it with the gerund, the clause, and you can even say advise me. So now let's talk about explain, because I hear this every single day. Teacher, can you explain me how to use the present perfect? What do you think about that? Can you explain me? Is that correct or incorrect? Well, you should know this by now. It's wrong. You don't explain someone. You explain to someone. This is why I saved explain for the end, but I really wanted you to learn it because it's the same thing. We don't want an object pronoun. Explain me? No. Explain to me. That's all you need to do. You need to add that preposition to because you explain to someone. Now, most commonly, we use the structure explain something to someone. Can you explain the present perfect to me? Now, if it's obvious that you're the one receiving the explanation, you don't even have to say it. You don't need to say to me, to him, to us, to them. If it's obvious, you can just say, can you explain the present perfect? That's fine. But you don't want to say, can you explain me? So please take the time to study and learn what I taught you in this video because you will not sound fluent. You will not sound natural. You will not pass your IELTS or your language exam if you say, recommend me, explain me. That's a beginner mistake, but I hear all my students, advanced students from every background, use that sentence structure. So take the time, watch this video multiple times to really understand the sentence structure, and then leave some examples in the comments below because you really need to practice it the correct way and get lots of repetitions with the correct form. Amazing job with this masterclass. Do you want me to make more lessons like this? If you do, put yes, 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 put yes, yes, yes in the comments below. And of course, make sure you like this lesson, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And you can keep expanding your vocabulary with this lesson right now.